Hello, my biddies. How are you? I'm good. um, just a little bit more. Yeah, to see my junk. The junk in my room, not that junk. How are you today? Weather is beautiful again. I feel much better than yesterday for some reason. I don't know why. Don't know what was wrong. My hair is stupid today. I don't like it. So anyway, I hope y'all are well. Um, I have nothing to report. Life is boring. I do. Make sure you read instructions before you put something in the dishwasher. I just have to call the insurance. Call the insurance. Eating the cats because I want to play with the cat for a few minutes. Because I'm sure they're lonely with their mommy and daddy gone. Sophie was down to chow yesterday. Nemo hides. Nemo doesn't like people. Barely tolerates his parents. I don't know what happened to him. Poor little kitty. He's a sweetheart, though. Anyway, that's all I have. That's all I have. I are dumb, and that's all I got. They're really, really dumb. I bought two different plastic things yesterday, and one of them said it was dishwasher safe, but I just assumed the other one was too. And it was stupid. Stupid. I shouldn't have done that. But I didn't see the warning on it. It was not on the packaging at all. It should have been. Anyway, I have a Jay and Pamela story for you. This is Jay and Pamela season 2, episode 3. We're waiting for a funeral. We have been at the apartment and they're scrambling to make it the trip to Missouri. She says her parents, she doesn't call her parents because they don't treat her as a child. She calls them birth givers. They're continuing the baby combo, and she says surrogacy is a hard no for her because she wants to be in control. We'll get back to this later. It's not pretty. They got word that Pamela's brother and a couple of friends are going to have dinner with them when they get to Kansas City. Sorry. Jay has questions for Don Pablo. Pamela shares that she doesn't eat or drink before a flight because of the bathroom issues, of course. I mean, I don't blame them. I don't blame her at all. She'd have to be carried to the bathroom, and she does not like that, which I can appreciate. I appreciate that. But I also don't think being hungry and dehydrated when you're traveling is a good idea. They get on the plane, and then they learn that Pamela's chair doesn't fit in the plane. So Jay's parents are going to come and get her chair, and then they'll have to rent a chair in Kansas City. I forgot my drink. Pamela's isn't happy about that, and who can blame her? The rented wheelchair gives her fits because the controls are reversed from what she's used to. Shouldn't there be some kind of standard for that? Like, it's reversed. Like, she says, I'm pushing right and I'm going left. Why is that? It's weird. I don't know. That makes no sense to me. The hotel room is good. They say other rooms are not good because they can't use the bathroom, even though they claim to be ADA compliant. They hurry to meet Juan Pablo and her friend since elementary school, Anthony, and Isabel, which is Juan Pablo's girlfriend. Isabella, sorry. Jay doesn't trust Juan Pablo. He respects and supports Pamela having a relationship, however. He says Juan Pablo has not proven himself. Juan Pablo mentions that the food is great where they are, and Jay says something like, well, I hope so. If you took us to a bad place, that would be sad. Jay orders a ton of food. 3 tacos with no veggies, curly fries, and an apple pie cheesecake with whipped cream and ice cream. Where does he put it all? I couldn't eat that much. And how does he stay skinny? He's not overweight. Not I mean, he might be a little bit, but he's only 40 pounds. Pamela just ordered a cup of Mexican street corn, and Juan Pablo got surf and turf, but it didn't look like much, to be honest. Juan Pablo says something like, "Yeah, they gotta flip the page just for Jay's order." They were teasing him. It's fine. Juan Pablo says her parents ask after her, but they're keeping their distance. Pamela brings up a past incident where she was almost died and was in the hospital for 2 months, and they never even came to see her. Not even Juan Pablo. Like if my kid was in the hospital for 2 months, I would go see them like immediately and probably stay for the whole 2 months. I get it. If you have a job, you can't do that, but somebody could. Somebody probably could have. Jay says it felt really lonely because Pamela didn't have anybody that seemed to care enough to see how she was doing. You'd still at least go down on weekends. Holy cow. Also, I have an issue. So the description on HBO says that Jay and Pamela found each other uh, despite thousands of miles in distance. She lived in Kansas City. He lived in Atlanta. It's 800 something miles, 803 miles or something stupid like that. It's not 1,000, much less thousands. It's silly. Unless you're going the other way. Well, I guess if you're going east from Atlanta um, to Kansas City, then it would be thousands. But that's not. It's not. Uh, Jay wonders why her family couldn't show up. Well, Pablo pushes back that she was in and out of the hospital and everyone was ready to go if, we felt like. And then Jay interrupts us with, when was it when she passed, when she died? Were we waiting for a funeral? What was it going to take? I mean, that's what it sounds like. Well, Pablo says Pamela in the hospital a lot, and when you're out of state, it's hard to be there every step of the way. Could be there one step of the way. Could at least go see her once a month. When my sister was in, my sister had twins, um, and she was in the hospital with them for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks on bed rest. Weeks in the hospital. I went to see her once a week. I had 3 kids and it was a 2-hour drive. Over a 2-hour drive. Closer to 3 hours actually. Once a week I would drive over. I would like if I went on Tuesday one week, I would go on Wednesday the next week, and then Thursday the next, and then Friday the next. Once a week I went and saw her. Took the kids for some entertainment. I took 3 kids. The youngest one, oh, no, that's not true. I took 2 kids. Her twins are older than my youngest. I took 2 kids. One of them was a year old. Not even a year old. Because the twins are less than a year old. Younger than my daughter. My sisters and I have kids born from 1995 to 2000. And then a couple on either end. A couple more on, a few years outside of that range. So yeah, if I can do that with little kids, you can go see your sister when she's in the hospital dying, potentially dying. Jay says that Pamela was septic and they thought she was going to die. Sepsis is nothing to screw around with, as a 15% death rate in the best scenarios. 15%. Don't get sepsis if you can at all help it. And it can kill you within hours, and it can kill you within months. It's bad. Juan Pablo is receptive to the conversation because he says it's important for healing, which is nice. I appreciate Juan Pablo in that. Jay acknowledges that Juan Pablo is the middleman and it's a hard place to be. Juan Pablo says it's hard to explain because the parents aren't there to explain themselves and to tell Jay and Pamela that and he tells Jay and Pamela that they've grown to be a lot more brave than Pamela's family because they made their way out to see everyone, especially in a time like this when with a death, and it's major to put everything aside. So I'm glad he appreciates that. Funeral day is the next day, and Pamela isn't sure how she feels, and Jay gives a speech about feeling your feels, the one I give everybody when they have a complicated relationship with their parents, especially. And I got that speech recently too. I received uh, that speech recently too. I really appreciated it. It's like I know, but I don't feel anything. The cameras were not allowed at the funeral, of course. Pamela said she liked the service. She spent a couple days with her abuelita and her abuelo holding her hand, which is nice. She said her abuelito was very excited to see her. I love that for her. Maybe he can come live in Georgia with them. Her dad was behind her, and she thinks that it was a lot for him seeing his mother's remains and the daughter he hasn't seen in years, which is really sad. Her dad needs to step up. Pamela says she's not over the fact that her dad abandoned her. She expected it from her mom, but not from her previously very supportive father. Before they leave, they're going to the cemetery. They they talk about how the extended family members all like Jay. So something positive happened. At the cemetery, Pamela gives a speech to her grandmother, and as does Jay. It's just, the regular stuff that you would expect them to say. Shortly after their trip, uh, P and J go to Jay's parents for movie night. They're nervous because they're going to bring up the baby thing. Uh, Jay's rents are trying to stay out of Pamela's relationship with her rents, but they are enjoying their empty nester period. They said they have dance parties. Raphael says he's trying to stay out of it because there are differences between his parenting and their parenting, and he has problems with it. Can relate. He thinks parents should get over themselves and not let their beliefs get in the way of loving their child. He says that in a much more lengthy way. Pamela says she now realizes what family is all about in her 30s. So there's still hope for some people, some younger people. Then they drop the potential grandparent thing, and Raphael shows on his popcorn. And then something dings in the kitchen. He goes, "Saved by the Bell." Renee says being grandparents was not on her bingo card because they've never talked about it at all. Raphael says they don't sit still long enough to have kids, and he's not doing diapers. Yes, you will, Raphael. You will. Renee says she's not going to pressure them either way. And Raphael says it's ultimately their decision, but they need to make sure they have the help that they need. He says they'll support them, but when they need help and they're not available, they need to make sure that they have other help. Then Jay says something inappropriate about sperm, and Raphael tells him to watch the movie. I'm not going to get into that one. It was weird. The next day, they go to talk with a fertility specialist, and Jay is excited about the whipped cream. So he makes hot chocolate with 2 different kinds of whipped cream. He was very excited. It was very weird. Why didn't you have coffee? I didn't have coffee. The doctor, Dr. Dudley, says they learn about OI in medical school, but he indicates that he's never had a patient with them. So the doctor's going out how to get the sperm, and Jay tells him that he is trans and had a partial hysterectomy. So the doctor confirms that the donor will be needed. Then he says that they also need a uterus, and Pam says they're not interested in surrogacy. The doctor looks really surprised. I mean, I don't blame him. I would just assume, based on their skeletal issues, which don't not necessarily just the bone breaking part, but they have other skeletal issues. Like she's really twisted. She's got really bad it's not spina bifida. It's it curvature of the spine. What is that called? You know what I mean. It tells them they will need a surrogate. Pamela says this no makes her feel helpless, which I mean I understand it. She wants to carry the baby as well as be a mom. Doc explains that it would stress her body too much due to space constraints. Her lung and heart capacity would be compromised, and he's concerned for both her health and the baby's development and growth. She says she wants to bond with the baby from the get go and not after the baby is born. And that is about that for that. That one, we will revisit that next week because they just come out on Wednesday night, I think. So we'll be caught up next week. I think. Pretty sure we're caught up next week. And we'll have a day a week then where you don't have one. All right. Any thoughts? Anyone? Bueller? Oh. These people don't make me mad, so I don't have to have as much to say. Even Juan Pablo, you mean he seems really nice. He's kind of clueless a little bit about his sister, but really nice, kind. Knows he screwed up, knows when he screwed up, that sort of thing. But he acknowledged what they said and he accepted it. And I think he's going to do better in the future. It's been a whole year since I saw him. I mean, he doesn't even come visit. In situations like that, you're the one that needs to go visit because he literally can't. Next, we have Petty Revenge and Isn't Tile let their gummy worms at a woman for talking and using her phone at the theater. I don't blame you. A few years ago, I was watching Inside Out 2 in theaters. Sitting right in front of me were these two women and a young girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old. Throughout the movie, they kept talking. It's so annoying. If you're going to talk through a movie, do it at your own home. They come out eventually. You can watch them on TV. If you don't want to watch them on TV, you can get a projector. Throughout the movie, they kept talking, and the two women wouldn't stop using their phones. One of the women used hers on full brightness. It was incredibly disruptive. Happened to have a pack of gummy worms, but didn't want to waste any full worms on her. So after realizing at some point I couldn't take it anymore, I bit off half of one gummy worm and threw the other half at her, and didn't miss. She turned around and looked in my direction, but I kept looking straight at the screen as if nothing happened. But then she still wouldn't turn off her phone. So a few minutes later, I bit off the half of another gummy worm and threw the other half at her. This guy got her really angry. She turned around and looked right at me and said, "Stop it." Again, I just looking at the screen as if it wasn't me who threw it. Then she turned to the woman and girl and said, "He's throwing gummy worms at me." The three of them turned around to look at me and then looked around to see who else could have thrown it. They continued murmuring to each other. Then the little girl pointed at me and said, "Well, it definitely wasn't that guy." The three of them turned back around to watch the movie. The woman finally dimmed her phone and eventually stopped using it minutes later. Don't use your phone in the theater. That's just rude. Unless you're making notes for a review, don't use your phone in the theater. They also shut up for the rest of the movie. The woman also left a few minutes, presumably to tell the staff on me, but nothing came of it. So for future reference, if you see someone talking or using their phone in a movie theater, just throw popcorn and candy at them. They won't know who did it. Well, they might if you're the only other person in the theater, which has happened to me. I took my kids on a weekday. They had chicken pox. My daughter was in half-day kindergarten. She got it first. She got over it, and then the boys got it. So I was going to meet my friend at the theater to watch a movie, and she reneged because her kid also had the chicken pox. And the other one had had surgery, so they were both out of school too. So she didn't make it for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, so we were the only ones there to watch the SpongeBob movie. I can't remember if it was the first one or not. And there was one other guy there, and I literally just asked him, I'm like, "Are you here alone?" Because it seems kind of weird to watch a kid movie alone. He's like, "Yeah, my grandkids really like SpongeBob, and I want to make sure I'm up to date on it." which I thought was sweet. He seemed harmless. So that's all I have to say about that. Oh, don't throw popcorn at them. Complain. Disastrous Night said should have used soda as a tracer round. Redfist said, I did this last year. Older woman in front of me, all through the first half of the movie. There were only a couple of dozen of us in the theater, and she flopped her butt right next to my, right in front of me. At one point, I politely asked her to shut the thing off, which she did for about 2 minutes. I rather loudly told my wife I needed to go to the bathroom, loud enough that the woman would hear me, and oops, I accidentally knocked half my full cup down the front of her coat. Small kerfuffle, lots of apologies, but she admitted defeat and left. My wife said if I did it again, I was a dead man, but it was worth it. I'm a bitch, Carol Baskin says. Interesting. Tiger Man? That's Tiger Man, right? Reference. I have fart spray just for that purpose. Wow. Somebody else said that liquid ASS is the nuclear version, not to be used without some serious forethought. And Equal Letterhead said I use it to get rid of my neighbors. Somebody else said they want to hear it too. Cricket says it was years and years ago. I went and saw a horror film in studios and some lady's phone went off and I jumped. She answered it. I threw Starburst at her head every 15 seconds or so until she hung up. She glared at me and I asked if she not wanted another one. Movie Master says, a very important question. What flavor? Because it better not have been lemon. Um, yeah, so don't talk in theaters, dudes. I told you about mine going to see Star Trek. Shut up. Shut up. And don't talk on your phone. That's just obnoxious. That's beyond rude. You're in the obnoxious. Honestly, there needs to be a way to contact ushers in that instance and, text the theater and say, hey, so and so in theater such and such, seats, B row. It's being completely obnoxious and talking on their phone during the movie. Don't do that. Why would you do that? You're supposed to have your phone silent so you can't even hear it anyway. Desert Rat says, my mom was using her phone in the theater and got in trouble with the usher twice. I thought it was funny as hell, and she deserved it. She learned her lesson. Angelo Gray says, we went to a theater to see a musical, and my mom was trying to take photos of the opening act. I was trying to tell her to stop when an usher came to tell her to shut off her phone or she'd be forced to leave. Instant karma. And why is it always the old ladies doing this? I'm an old lady. I don't do that. I might whisper a little bit to my daughter sometimes. Little Blue says, Jurassic numeral, I don't know. Kids in front of me were showing each other pretty girls on very bright screens while talking loudly. I got irritated to the point that when a really tension-filled moment was playing, I put my head right up to his and says, all the rows behind you can see what you're looking at. Startled him so much he yelled out loud. They were very silent after. Still remember it fondly. Giroux says, I want to talk to Cough Drop at somebody who wouldn't shut up during Interstellar. It got stuck in their ear and they had to leave. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, what's this thing? Says, I waited for months for Interstellar to come out again in IMAX, only to have some a-hole browsing his internet right on his phone right in front of me. What did you do? Did you tell him to stop? Because I just told him to stop. Best thing I ever saw says, I had a buddy who threw ice cubes at the loud talker. She loudly said, ow, someone threw ice at me, and the whole theater started laughing with some scattered blossomed her up quick. Oh, sorry, I'm still gonna go. I'm still gonna go. Gas Break says years ago I was watching comedy blockers in the theater, and two teenage girls sat behind me and to the left. From the moment they entered the room, they were gossiping about school stuff loudly. I didn't mind it through the trailers. Yeah, I don't mind it through the trailers. You can talk all you want, but once the movie starts, shut up. Shut up. But they continued once the movie started. I had a bad day to begin with, which is the reason I decided to go see comedy after work. And this was ticking me off so much that the 15-minute mark, I turned to them and yelled, the top of my lungs, shut the wang up. They froze, looked at me as if I just unalived their pets, and sank in their seats. I turned back to the screen and noticed a movement in my right peripherals. I glanced over to see that two people a couple of seats away in the same row as me were very amused by this and gave me very enthusiastic like thumbs up. The rest of the screening went smoothly with only the sounds of laughter coming from the audience, as it should be. Don't be rude in the theater. People pay a lot of money for that. It costs us almost $25 for a matinee. What was a matinee? Might have been more. Popcorn and drinks. $25. Pay a lot of money for that. I can watch it for free at home anytime I want. But I'm not because I wanted to go to the theater. Been in the theater twice in 2 months, and that's just wrong for me. Actually, it was twice this month, I think. I've been in the theater twice this month. That's weird for me. I don't get to go that much. Like there are years we haven't gone at all. During COVID, we didn't go at all. There are years where it's like a once a year thing for the family. You're ruining other people's enjoyment. Stop it. It's not your home. If you want to talk through a movie, you can do that at home. If you want to play on your phone through a movie, you can do that at home. Go to sleep or something. I don't know. Next, I have Am I Overreacting? It is entitled AIO. My in-laws watch my child and the neighbors do not have a pool fence. They don't seem to have any fence. That's not right. My in-laws watch my 1.5-year-old child and I have another on the way. They don't seem to care that the neighbors don't have a fence, nor does my husband. It is required by law to have a fence if they've gotten away with it, as no one has reported them. So report them. Report them. My in-laws' house is the only house with visibility to the pool. That doesn't matter. Am I overreacting by wanting to report them? No. My husband completely disagrees with this and said I should stay out of their business, but it is a law. It is a law, and it is considered a attractive nuisance is the term, the legal term. It's an attractive nuisance because kids can get hurt there. It's attractive because it's a pool and everybody wants to swim. We have a toddler and another coming. It only takes a minute for something devastating to happen. Exactly. I feel conflicted on what to do. I fear anger from my in-laws and husband if I ask for something to be done as they want to stay out of it. But it seems unreasonable to think that you can always have eyes on a child who's playing and running around, especially when there's going to be two. Update. My husband and I will talk to his parents, and then we'll talk to the neighbor either with or without them. It doesn't solve the issue, but we will be reporting them. Thank you to everyone who helped us both see how truly serious this is. It's not just my pregnancy emotions. And this is not like, this is an in-ground pool, and it needs a fence, a permanent fence around it. Well, this temporary fence is not good enough for this. Not good enough to protect the neighborhood. I know that there are temporary fences you can put up to your full, even though it's otherwise fenced, to keep toddlers out, but is not good enough for protection. You need a permanent fence. If you have an above ground pool, as long as it's a certain height, that counts as the fence. So you don't have to have a fence. We had a pool, we did not have a fence, but it was above ground. It was pretty high. It's Lee from NOLA says, how do they even have homeowners insurance if a pool is not fenced? A. Rollins says that's a standard across the board rule for homeowners insurance. I'm shocked they haven't had to do this already. If the insurance company got tipped off, they'd 100% force them to build a fence or drop them. Own expert says many, many years ago, I worked for insurance in many parts of Florida. A fence was not required as long as there was some kind of natural barrier in place. We're not talking rock walls either. More often than not, it was some tiered landscaping or even just shrubs. It was especially common to not see a fenced pool where homes were on a golf course. Yikes. I have a pool and I have a fence landscaping, a gate alarm that alerts my phone and water surface alarms. I'm not taking any chances. Own expert. That was own expert. Popular reporter says you live up to your name. Own expert answers randomly assigned username, maybe Reddit. Saw something in me I didn't see in myself. It's cute. DD Source says, don't bring your kids if they ask you don't feel comfortable with the pool situation. Done. Yeah, until they put up a fence, don't take the kids over there. A tiny little bug says, Nor. This is how a little boy in my neighborhood died. Slipped away from the neighbor's pool during a birthday party. His name was Tony. My mangler says, I also know of a child that died this way. Grace McClellan says drowning is the leading cause of death for kids 1 and 4, kids 1 through 4 years old. Nostradamus says, look up the statistics for kids with autism. Yes, they are attracted to pools, and a lot of autistic kids are attracted to pools. There used to be a RIP page in our own support group. Caboodle Mom says, my autistic son has the water fascination, so as soon as he was able, we had swim lessons 3 times a week until he knew how to swim and float. He saw the fascination, but now he's like a dolphin swimming. Yes, but that's not a guarantee. They could hit their head. All kinds of stuff can happen. Next, we have entitled people, entitled My Backyard's Not a Public Park. Does it have a pool? Does your backyard have a pool? So this happened years ago, but I was talking about it recently and thought it belonged here. I grew up in a very small town in the mountains of upstate New York, which happened to be a summer spot for a ton of people coming from the city. Every year we would have thousands of people who did not live there stay year round, stay for some or all of the summer. Yeah, I can relate. From a resort town also. Our house was on a small local lake that had an ice cream shop on the other side of the lake from our house that would rent out boats for people to enjoy the lake. This usually wasn't a problem. People are free to enjoy the lake as they want. One summer, I went up my back porch in the morning, and there was a rental boat tied to our dock and a family having a full-on picnic in our lawn while their kids used my old swing set. There are multiple no trespassing and private property signs on the dock, by the way. I was a little shocked, and home on my own as a 15-year-old also uncomfortable, and informed them it was private property and they had to leave. The father told me they'd be done with their picnic soon and I should go back inside so they could enjoy their morning in peace with their kids. I was the one disturbing them. Like, this is my house. You need to leave. I told them it wasn't a public park and they needed to leave immediately. And he said, if we don't want people using our yard like a park, then it shouldn't look like one. Where do people buy the audacity? Oh my goodness. I'm guessing it meant the swing set. I ended up calling the police and they were told to leave the property while the husband argued the entire time. You were told to leave, dude. Leave. Total Diva says, good for you. And they obviously weren't going to be done soon if they were there. So when the cops showed up, exactly. Velvet Daydream says, nah, the entitlement and the audacity in the story is a lot. I'm sure they thought the no trespassing signs were mere declaration. Second top rated comment is from Royally Okie. I wonder if they're from Michigan. That seems like a Michigan name to me. Michigan handle to me. If the guy was willing to argue with the cops, you didn't stand a chance. Entitlement is an epidemic. Melissa Theory says, due to my neighbor not understanding his property line, there's a path from a side street to my backyard. I caught 3 neighbor kids who were in the 5th grade and junior high in my yard playing on the swing set. I went out and told them to leave. One of the kids told me, my dad says this is common ground, so we're staying. I told them it wasn't, and I was calling the cops, and they scattered pretty quickly. Blue Ellen says, my Nana got some new rich neighbors. One thought he could ignore the property line and tell my Nana what to do on her property because she's a widow now. When my very tall construction as a side job uncle very politely informed him to uh, stay on him property, stay on his property and leave my Nana alone. Now he just glares. Murdered by Words entitled No Lies Detected. Elon Musk says, the reason they call me a Nazi is to encourage people to murder me. No, sir, I don't want anyone to murder you. I want you to go away, but I don't want you to be murdered. The reason people call you a Nazi is because you're a Nazi. Melanie says, it was actually the multiple Nazi salutes, the constant use of Nazi rhetoric, and the vocal support for Germany's far-right political party, which includes Nazis. Exactly. Repulsive Loquat says, richest person in the world as the biggest, whiniest bitch complex. Charlie has a second top right comment says, anyone still remembers the time when his PR propaganda was doing its job and no one actually knew how much of a whiny crybaby narcissist he truly was? We were so innocent back then. Hand soap answers, crybaby trillionaire got forbidden by the SEC for tweeting without PR approval / company fact check for his lying on his Tesla financial tweets. So he bought Twitter and his Epstein cronies take control of the SEC. Yeah, exactly. Somebody puts up the picture of the Nazi salute and he's got a little mustache drawn on it. I approve that message. Okay, that's the Black Canyon. Here's a 1-star review. Margie from Mammoth Junction, New Jersey. This is a very pretty park, but they have an idiotic system for providing hiking permits. On the website, it says permits can be obtained in the visitor center, which opens at 8 a.m. or at 3:30 the day before. Yeah, okay. Well, it says the passes are limited. It did not say they were limited to 15 a day. So we got there opening at 8 a.m. to obtain a permit to hike down the canyon. We were told they're all used up. Yeah, because you should have done it the day before, duh. Ranger said the number is capped at 15 to provide room for everyone on the hike. I'm sorry, but even 15 an hour is a massive trail would seem limiting, let alone a 15 a day. It was rude and disrespectful of the Grange to lie to us. Nobody lied to you. The visitor center is open from 8 to 3:30, and it says you're supposed to pick up the pass the day before, or purchase the pass the day before. Considering the park's website and pamphlets, marker is accessible to all. Accessible doesn't mean that anybody can go. 15 hikers a day to hike down is not accessible. That's not what accessible means. And this stupid bureaucracy is tainting what should be an amazing experience in a very cool place. Let everyone know the cap is 15. They will not tell you or advertise that you have to drive all the way down there to be sold some BS from a rude park ranger. I'm sure this park ranger was not rude to you. Has 97 reviews and all but one of them. Yeah. All but one Yelp review is at least 3 stars, and most of them are 5. So I don't believe her for a minute. She just didn't follow directions. Following directions does not mean you give places a 1-star review. That's on you, not on them. Next, I've traumatized them back, and it is entitled, I followed my father's advice and lawyered up against him. Disclaimer, I refer to my father as abuser. He does not deserve the paternal title. I was 19 years old, fresh out of grammar school, and looking forward to going to university abroad. By then, my parents were divorced for a year, and I'd been receiving child support payments from my abuser. They were not much, around $75 a month, 75 pounds a month. It was mid 2010, so about 2015-ish. But that's when my parents agreed during the divorce. It's not like I had any expenses at that time. But I was leaving the country to study abroad. I knew the destination country was more expensive than my home. Why will this not cooperate with me ever? It's not stay on the thing. I'm moving it that much. Be closer. I can read. All right, maybe we're all good now. My destination country was more expensive than my home country, so I asked my abuser to discuss increasing the payments for the duration of my studies, and he agreed. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and he messaged me one evening accusing me of manipulating an old lady and tell the neighbor's secrets and paint my abuser in bad light. This is what actually happened. My mom was walking her dogs and randomly met the neighbor's mother. She asked her a few questions about the living situation between my abuser and the neighbor, his lover that he cheated on mom for 6 years, to check just how much my abuser was lying to us. I wasn't there for this. I did not ask my mom to do this, and I only learned about this later when my mom told me she found out what she found out. According to my abuser, I was the master manipulator. Takes one to know one, eh? I responded that this is difficult to trust him when he lied to us for years. He got greatly offended and demanded an apology. I refused. I wouldn't apologize to him either. He doesn't deserve an apology. I his final ultimatum was that if I didn't apologize within 24 hours, he would cancel the increased child support payments, and I would need to get a lawyer to get him to pay. So I did. I spoke to a lawyer and gave him power of attorney to act on my behalf. I wanted to take it to court, but the lawyer wanted to try sending a letter to arrange a meeting before taking it to court. Long story short, my abuser, who is usually a narcissistic, self-assured, and self-proclaimed main character, who wasn't afraid of picking up literal fights, suddenly became the most docile creature in the meeting room and agreed to the increased payments almost immediately. He probably knew that what we were asking was way less than what the court would have demanded. He ended up paying for the duration of my studies and a little bit after until I got a job. My only regret is that I never saw his face and received the summons letter from my lawyer. And no, I still haven't apologized. And I'm seeing this come up a lot, so let me clarify. I'm from a Central European country. Local law requires parents to pay alimony/child support until the child is 26, if in education, or until they're financially independent. That's a long time to pay child support, not gonna lie. I don't even think we need to read comments on that one. Next is what should I do? It is entitled, I'm at a guy's house and clogged his toilet. What do I do? Leave immediately. I told him a female spent the night at the house of this guy I've been seeing, 22 male. I've been here like 3 times. He bought me Ben and Jerry's, and I ate half a pint last night, and I'm lactose intolerant. Girl, don't eat Ben and Jerry's. Might be your first step. I clogged the toilet, and should I tell him or try to figure it out myself? Edit. Okay. I found the plunger and fix it. He doesn't have a brush though. He has one of those clippers that needs a soap pad scrubber thing, and the box is empty, so I can't clean the bowl. Should I tell him or just pretend nothing happened until he sees it later? Update. I did unclog the toilet. I tried to use the toilet paper to clean it off in between flushes, and the toilet was really fast, and I got water on myself. Washed hands, it was good, and left the bathroom. Contrary to popular belief, he actually didn't know. I asked him if he did, and he said no. I was like, what else what I've been doing for so long. He says, I don't know, lady things. You could be changing a tampon for all I know, which is valid. I stopped replying because I was scared to open the thread in front of him. I already admitted I pooped. I also admit I posted on Reddit about it. It's now the afternoon as I'm still here. I think he might like me. Aw, that's so sweet. It wasn't straight liquid like a commentator said. I'd also eaten other things prior to the ice cream, and lactose doesn't immediately liquefy everything. I'm dehydrated and I don't eat enough fiber. My poops are very large and occasional. Girl, eat some fiber and drink. Broken says, why do lactose intolerant people always eat the most dairy? I'm kidding. Last hope standing said, and then get shocked by the outcome. Ghost Creepy Pass says, just tell him it's embarrassing, but it happens to everyone. It does not. I don't think I've ever clogged a toilet. I also am not lactose intolerant. I am a little bit, but not like that. Not like that. And not always. It's weird. Sometimes I can have milk and ice cream and stuff, and it doesn't bother me at all. Most of the time, actually. But every once in a while, it'll hit the wrong way. And to the bathroom I go. uh, Doree says, I was about to say, excuse my bluntness, if that guy cares that you had to poop, sis, he ain't the one. After being with my husband for 7 years, there isn't a dang thing he knows. He had to pull a diva cup out of me because it got stuck. I'm glad your husband was like to do that. I probably have to call an emergency line. Mayhaps Fi says, yep, I had an ex literally like to pretend women didn't crap. I go through phases where my stomach will wake me up cramping in the mornings. I've had that too. He would be such a dick if he happened to go in there right after and smelled it. I do that to my husband. Like, all you gotta do is spray something. I really hate it when you. So I can't even talk about poop. I really hate it when he goes in there right before bed. It's right back there. Right back there. Um, and my bed is like right there. Like right there. I'll go in there and he'll take a dump before bedtime, and then he leaves the door wide open, and it's just, I can't even sleep. I can't sleep. Puts me off my sleep for like an hour because it stinks. I should feed him different foods, I know, but that stinks. Okay, we'll go back to Hepsify. Yep, I had an ex that literally liked to pretend that women didn't crap. I go through phases where my stomach will wake me up cramping in the mornings. He would be such a dick if he happened to go in there right after and smelled it. He also told me my job was to sit there, shut up, and look pretty. Whoa. Stayed with that dude for a year before he became physically abusive. Why? If somebody's going to tell you to sit there, shut up, and look pretty, no, that's an immediate, like, I'm out of here. Low self esteem is a bitch. I have broken up with men for less. Next is a malicious compliance, and it is entitled Stop Being So Friendly. I work in a behavioral healthcare agency. At the time this occurred, there were 14 therapists who reviewed paperwork from various psychiatric facilities. I'm the receptionist. I used to greet everyone that came, and we'd have a wee chat and then get on with our work. Many told me they enjoyed my cheerful attitude and hoped they never lost that. I never lost that happy spirit. At that time, the director of my office singled me out on how she treated me. One month she was super cool and we got along great. The next month she'd be on me about every little thing I did. I didn't know what to do. Wow, that's weird. One day she called me into my office and told me I was being too social, talking too much with coworkers, not getting enough work done. Not true. I needed to limit my conversations to just greeting people and leave it at that. I looked at her and said I would do exactly what she said, no more socializing, hand out assignments, say what it's for, and go back to my desk. She smiled, telling me that's what she wanted. The next morning, I smiled, greeted people, and then put my head down and went back to work. When I would go to their offices and hand assignments, they would start to chat, and I'd stop them, apologizing, telling them I had to go back to my desk. I'd get an odd look and a nod. This went on for several days. Following week, they started coming up to my desk individually, asking me how I was doing. I seemed distant. If I had problems, I could talk to them as the door was always open. I smiled, thanked them for their generosity and thoughtfulness, but I was fine and had to get back to work. As I mentioned, this went on every day for a week. The following week, the director called me into his office and asked what was wrong. I smiled and said, "Nothing is wrong. I'm doing my work and it's on time. Clinicians are getting their assignments, and I'm keeping the chat to a absolute minimum like you wanted." She looked at me and said the clinicians were concerned about me as I haven't been talking to them. They feel I might be going through some kind of depression, and they told me their door is always open. She didn't say anything at first, then she said, "Just keep the chats to a few minutes." I told her no problem. Wow. uh, the Dark Prince said, if your work was complete before then that's the issue. Hey, director, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We used to do this at one of my old jobs. I we wouldn't have a light day, and my boss and I would start chit chatting because we're friends now. We became good friends. Um, and her boss would be in the other room and tell us to stop chit chatting and get to work. It's like we literally have nothing to do right now, dude. I mean, everybody has light days. It happens. He says that had nothing to do with everything to do with my friendly personality. I do my best to get along with people, and she could be cranky, sarcastic weenie wag. I can be cranky, sarcastic weenie wag, but I also do my best to get along with people. Stoic Stick says sounds like she should have got used. She could use some therapy, and OP says she was a therapist. Yeah, that they need lots of therapy. I used to work intake at a psych clinic. So did I. Out of 22 therapists and psychologists, only 4 of them I would have gone to for any advice because the rest of them were nuts. Can't confirm. They perpetually told me mega personal things about their lives, and I would constantly ask them, what would you say if this was your patient? And oddly, they couldn't respond or cut me off. One of them, Katie, a psychologist, had a live-in boyfriend of 7 years who would send her text messages hitting on her, pretending to be someone else to test her constantly. That's disturbing. To see if she would ever cheat on him. She caught him, but still didn't break up with him. I was super hand second embarrassed for her. She brushed me off every time I would ask if would tell her client if that was her client's story. I find most therapists go into therapy because they need therapy. Not not even joking. I mean, there are good therapists, don't get me wrong. Even the therapists that need therapy can be good therapists. But everybody I know has gone into therapy went because um, they needed therapy and they wanted to help other people uh, solve similar problems to what they had. Monica Jones says it would have been more malicious if you had told them you were only doing what the director told you to do. OP says I actually did tell a few clinicians and they were appalled. Squeen says it sounds like they were kind of backdoor took care of it by how they talked to her. Props to them. Exactly. Next, we have Evil Buildings, and this is an abandoned church in Portugal that doesn't feel empty. I mean, depending on how you feel about churches. It's a pretty cool looking church, if you ask me. Why is it abandoned? Why don't people use that? We had abandoned, I forgot what it was called. Where did the priest go? Seminary. We had an abandoned seminary in our town. It was really sad because it was a really cool looking building, and they had to tear it down because it became condemned. And I was very sad because I like old buildings. And it was landmark. I mean, then Bit says Eldon vibes for sure. Leo says there's definitely a boss inside. My ass soft says very well kept garden for an allegedly abandoned place. Maybe because it's not actually abandoned but literal tourist attraction. The Cafel Our Lady of Victories in Furnace. Oh, so it's not abandoned at all. The heck? Blocked? What the hell? How am I blocked? Why am I blocked? Do this. I just want to sign out. Is this going to be all day? An all day thing? Maybe it's something else. I can try something else here. Oh, that worked. VPN. Sometimes just disabling the VPN works. This is it during the day. Even though it's not a good picture because it's completely cut off at the bottom. Why are you taking a picture of this building and not that building? I'm confused. I are confused. It says bright and sunny on under that one. Yeah, it looks very different in that picture. Next is AITAH and is entitled AITAH for showing up underprepared to a hike and being put off with my friends for not warning me and also ditching me. No, if they did not warn you and ditched you, then no, you're not the a-hole at all. Genuinely need help understanding if I'm just a whoosh who got who dragged everyone backwards today, or if we're mad for the right reasons. I'll change minor details for discretion. I, 31 female, had a group of friends, similar ages, saying we'd like to get together for a hike sometime. We've scheduled, rescheduled, planned, and unplanned babysitter and dog sitters and finally managed it. So I've been tossing out trail ideas, something easy, single day. Seems reasonable. My friends, we'd like to just hike the trail right by our place. So they essentially tell me that there's a straight shot. We'll have a buddy drop us off on the other side of the hill and we'll hike over. And essentially right back to their neighborhood, 6 hours start to finish. That sounds reasonable. So my boyfriend and I show up, backpacks, basic snacks, water bottles. They show up on bikes. Why? That's a hike, not a bike. My boyfriend and I are a little confused. We thought this was a hike for leisure. No rush is sort of 1 foot in front of the other type thing. They say it's no rush. They may beat us, but we're all just going back to the neighborhood. But they'll be there like 3 hours after you. Plus, there are a bunch of scenic outlooks where they'll stop and we'll catch up. Well, to no one's surprise, we get left behind pretty quickly. No cell service to be spoken of. We keep having to crowd over to one side for ATVs ripping up and down the path, but the longer we kept walking, one thing becomes clearer and clearer. This is not any kind of hiking trail. It's not built for this at all, despite being the original idea. Eventually, we stop and rest and wind up chatting with these guys who have pulled over on their ATVs. They ask us where we're headed, and when we tell them, it becomes immediately clear that we have much farther to go than originally intended, like several miles to go yet. These two were saints because they gave us a lift. The further we rode, the more astonished we became that anyone had expected us to do this on foot. It took us at least 15 minutes to get there by ATV. And we got back to the trailhead and realized it wasn't exactly right into the neighborhood like we'd been told. So we just started walking. Eventually, they came by and picked us up. I'd stay 20 minutes or so after we hit the main road. We told them we were too tired to stay for dinner, the original plan. And he booked it out and grabbing something on the way. That's where I am. We're adults. I was clearly underprepared, and no one should have to be responsible for me. No, that's not true. You were lied to, and people should always be responsible for their friends, especially when you're lying to them. On the other hand, this trip was vastly misrepresented to us. Had I known, I would have told these people we didn't own mountain bikes and to count us out. This was not a hike. We have vastly different ideas on what constitutes a hike. Yeah, that's a bike, not a hike. I've been feeling calls of how sorry everyone is and the way that things went down, but honestly, I just said that I made it home safe and I'll talk to everyone later. My mom had been babysitting so we could go, and when she asked me, I told her all of the above, and she said, I tried to hold it together because I figured maybe I was just tired and crabby, but then we had dinner and I was still upset. She genuinely asked me if these people were my friends. I'm going to sleep on it because it's fresh and I feel like she's right. I feel like I was taking crazy pills today because, damn, at least tell me I'll be better off just going home. I feel like the people who knew the area misrepresented the trip and then totally wanged off and left us to figure out on the way back. Additionally, I got a few days off with a babysitter, so I had planned excessively for this. To have to go down on that way was additionally disappointing, even though not anyone's fault, just an extra grievance, honestly. I don't know, it feels like we lost the plot somewhere. I'm not demanding an apology. I'm just going to be just not going to be expecting help or logic from these people in the near future. Um, TK gave me a migraine and felt like what fired. I was expecting too much. This is literally insane, legitimately insane. Edit dad, holy moly! I woke up to a lot of questions and support. I can't thank you guys enough. I started replying to as many as I could, but now my household is waking up. So the wonderful boyfriend has gifts to open for the kiddos and I. Thanks much for your guys' thoughts and advice. Happy Father's Day to those who celebrate. Remember, these are June, June submissions. Wilbringer says there's a lovely walking track far from where I live. I'd like to invite you to. It's a place called Mount Panorama in Bathurst. People walk it. They call it Bathurst 500. NTA, tell your friends not to be dickheads. OP said I'd be showing up in a soapbox car after I told them, hey, let's join a soapbox derby, and then trusted these people. The thought. Gopher and Gardner says, definitely NTA and NOR. I can't help but thinking if your boyfriend wasn't there, would they have done the same thing? You could have injured yourself or worse. It's not a thing to invite someone on a hike and then tell them it's a wheeling trail and then leave them behind to catch up. That's insane behavior that people do. That's someone they dislike. Summit Junkie says, I can't think of anyone I dislike that I would even do this to. It's diabolical. I mostly just ignore people I dislike. They actively made an intentional plan to make them suffer and put them in danger. Yeah, exactly. It's so weird. And kudos to the ATV drivers that help them out. Those are good people. Those should be your friends. Les Duty says, yeah, I agree with the others. These are not your friends. Sorry you weren't unprepared. They misrepresented the hike. OP says, that's been in my mind, in my head. Getting it out has been really helpful because I was overwhelmed and exhausted. But when my mom tells me so, she's really right. She's usually right. Thanks for chiming in on behalf of my sanity. Next, we have Neighbors from Hell, and it is an update on a neighbor house party. So we are going to go and find the original, or not. I may have to do it the roundabout way here. Oops. Let's see the original. It's annoying. I don't see anywhere where she posted about a house party. It was a year ago. So, let's look at the post a year ago. That's weird. Why does it have seconds? Nothing found. Whoops. I can go back not long enough. Post a lot. Found it. Okay. The original was new neighbors got their dream party house. That's why I couldn't find it. And I'm pissed. I live in a house on a secondary road in a city, so it isn't super quiet neighborhood. However, there's kind of a designated party neighborhood about a mile away from us. We've always been outside the radius. Our new neighbors are now bringing us into the circle. They've only been here for 2 weeks and have already thrown 3 parties with people screaming outside, loud music, and cars coming and going till 6 a.m. That's ridiculous. The non party nights are only marginally better with fewer cars but as much screaming and music. The worst part is the outside noise is so unpredictable and short lived that we are woken at all hours of the night, and magically it falls outside what the police would investigate as a noise disturbance. Today they started parking their cars on our yard. I was not having it. I went over and started taking pictures of license plates to start documenting the cars where they were parked because there's a clause in our lease about loud parties and quiet enjoyment, as there should be. Some people come out of the house carrying a bunch of beer saying, "Oh, is there a problem? If there's a problem, just let us know." And I went off on them. So they moved their cars, which is also plenty of street and alley parking available. God only knows why they decided to park on somebody's lawn. But for the last hour, it's been constantly slamming doors. Their house is 15 feet from ours, as they are smart city lots and yelling about random stuff. Has anyone successfully dealt with a party house? What kind of documentation was useful talking to landlord police? We have the type of landlords that don't really want to be involved with problems. That means work. Should there be sabotage afoot? Update a year later. I posted a year ago about our terrible new neighbors who partied hard 3 times a week on the regular, throwing trash, loud music, screaming outside at 3 a.m., and most egregiously parking their various cars on our lawn. The update is a good one. I started documenting and complained to the city about the noise. Then again, then I started leaving dog poop by the driver's side door of cars when they parked on my lawn. I picked up trash that they threw and wedged it between their side mirror and their car door. They were upset by this and I tried to confront me, but ultimately stopped parking on our yard. Instead, they started parking on the sidewalk, like literally horizontal parallel to the street. That's not cool. Pulled onto the sidewalk. Why didn't you just call the cops the first time this happened? Pulled onto the sidewalk. This proved to be their downfall. More people complained about that because it's an accessibility issue, especially being a main secondary street. The businesses down the street complained too because of the noise and litter. It quickly snowballed into multiple people complaining to both the city and the landlord, a well known slumlord in the city. A couple of months later, the people weren't given the option of renewing their lease because they were getting too close to nuisance house status and promptly moved. And then the landlord put the building up for sale because those people had completely trashed it. So one of the business owners bought it and knocked it down. No more party neighbors ever again. Moral of the story, be the squeaky wheel and find the pressure point that will make other people care too. I don't think we need any comment on that. Next, we have Benign Existence, and it is entitled Watching a Baby I Never See Grow Up. I'm a pet sitter slash walker. This particular client has come to me every so often to make sure the cats are fed, have enough water, the litter box is clean, and the cats have some playtime. That's what I'm doing this week. I've only ever seen the baby once in the meet and greet, and this was 9 months ago. She was somewhere between newborn and 1 to 2 months. Every time I've gone there since, the house has been changed in a way that shows the baby's growth. I watched this giant drag become full of freshly cleaned bottles. The ground got a new busy toy for when she's on her back. There are significantly less bottles now as she probably transitions to solid food. There's a new high chair at the table. In the latest update, there was a baby gate blocking off an area of the house the baby can now reach by crawling. I don't know their family. I barely met any of them. It's just sweet. Just a bit of wonder watching the hints of growth from the outside. That's kind of cute. That's cute. Sorry I'm late, not sorry to go to work. It started with a baby swing in a tree branch that turned into a kid swing and then the whole play set. A bad storm knocked the branch down made me sad that they lost something that held up the early days of play. A few days later, I saw they reconstructed the fallen branch into a bench. Oh, by the play set, and that made me irrationally happy. That's so cool. Their top rated comment is my takeaway is what a lovely person you are for observing this growth. So sweet that you noticed. A lot of people wouldn't have. It is. There's no baby. We're not going. Just 2 cats. Next, we have Found Satan is entitled Satan is in Excel. Oh, we already saw this one. Why is this still here? Did I do the wrong one last time? Let's find out if I screwed up. I probably did. I did. But not in the way I thought I did. Yesterday's was wrong. And of course, it's been removed by Satan's helpers at Reddit. It's entitled Satan's. Even Satan wouldn't think that. Okay, it's kind of inappropriate. Since condoms are not biodegradable 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, if you care about the planet, have unprotected sex. Don't. So many answers. STDs and babies are also not biodegradable, LOL. And then Jordan says babies are absolutely biodegradable, and he's entirely correct. He is entirely correct. Comptilator says, well, from a certain point of view, babies are indeed biodegradable, but getting them out is a pain in the womb. Glass Canyon says babies are biodegradable from every point of view. It's just a statement of fact. Exactly. We're all biodegradable. Yogurt Closet said that's what's bigger impact on the environment? one no biodegradable condom or lifetime of consumerism. True that. Eastcare says in the Netherlands, it was in the news that they wanted to make it illegal for influencers to spread wrong information about sexual protection. I guess they're referring to this kind of crap. Super weird. Oh, sorry. I guess I'm tired. Actually, I have just known Mel and isn't tired. Mel bought 6-year-old her first bralette. That seems early. Really early. My mother-in-law took my soon-to-be 7-year-old out buying clothes for her birthday. All well and good. I get home from work. Wife has obviously been crying, and daughter comes running up to show me that she's wearing a bralette with a red grin on her face. I knew immediately what had happened and why my wife is upset. Unneeded piece of fabric at this time aside, I knew my wife was upset that her own mother cut the rite of passage line on her. Way too preemptively, too. My daughter doesn't need a bralette, so it's like mother-in-law did it early, just to make sure she got to it first. That's rude. Mothers, don't be like this. Mother-in-law has 3 grown daughters of her own, so she 100% knows better. I was not looking forward to buying my daughter's first bra. I'm sorry. It's just something I didn't want to do. Did I do it? Yeah, I did it. Was it exciting? No. Just a bra. My daughter didn't even need bra. She still doesn't. Sure enough, wife and I step into the other room. She bursts into tears that something special with our oldest was taken from her. I can't help but feel pure rage toward my mother-in-law. No requirement says have it disappear in the wash, and then when daughter actually needs it, your wife can step in. Also, Mill just lost alone time with your child because she knew what she was doing and didn't care. Yeah, exactly. Freebooter says talk about over-sexualization of a child. A 17-year-old almost never needs a bra of any description. To be honest, the novelty of putting in place an extra piece of clothing will lose its appeal for your daughter. I would be speaking about the sexualization of children to your mother-in-law. Remember that just because a child wants something doesn't mean it's in their best interest. Exactly. Sarah Fire Lily says, my daughter is a sage and I would be livid. I'm also not passive, so I would let my mother-in-law have it. My own mom would never do this because she knew better and hated shopping. Oh, is your mom me? Sadly, she passed 2 years ago, so I guess not. I'll still be your mom. It'll be okay. Next is, am I the jerk and is the title AITJ for correcting my coworker's fun fact in front of the whole office? I mean, maybe a little, but it'd still be funny. Every Friday, our team does this thing where someone shares a fun fact about themselves at lunch. Last week, it was my coworker's birthday, so she went first and said her fun fact was that she once swam with white sharks in the Maldives and that white sharks are actually the most aggressive shark species, says. Whale sharks. Sorry, whale sharks. Whale sharks are not the most aggressive. They're not at all. Whale sharks are literally filter feeders, completely harmless. I just happen to know this because I watched some documentary a while back playing skate, and it stuck with me for some reason. I waited like 2 seconds trying to stop myself, but then I said, oh, that's cool. Just to clarify, though, whale sharks are actually super docile. They're filter feeders, smiled and moved on. She laughed it off at the moment, but then went kind of quiet for the rest of the lunch. A mutual colleague texted me saying I picked the worst moment, that she had been saving it up for a trip like 3 years and was really proud of it. At least have your facts. Although she's the birthday girl, you probably shouldn't have done it on her birthday. I wasn't trying to embarrass her. I just couldn't sit there in front of 9 people who now all think whale sharks are dangerous. I do regret the timing a little, yeah, maybe, but was I actually wrong? Wrong timing for sure. Sherry Thunderbird says everybody knows a pervasive and dangerous shark with 10 plus billion views is Baby Shark. do 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 do. Somebody says, "Curse you, curse you." Uh, Lady Gemstone quote, she's been saving up for that trip for like 3 years and was really proud of it. Says, "That's nice, but being 100% wrong about a pretty well-known fact is worse." TJ. Medical Gate says, "Well-known fact." Objective Object says, "Very fishy." Getting to is fish whales are not fish. Oh, did I say that out loud? Decker says, sharks are in fact fish. What they are not is whales." Gloopling says, "But are they friends?" And Decor says, answers either that or food. No, fish is friend, not food. Then Balden now says, "NTJ, sharks are often lots of disinformation spread about them that can impact how people view conversation efforts. I think making sure people have accurate information about sharks helps us have the knowledge we need better to understand why we need help to conserve their habitats and restrict their killing." What you should have done is waited until it was your turn for your fun fact and say, "My fun fact is whale sharks are actually docile and not," or say, "The most aggressive shark is the great white shark," which I think it is. I'm not positive. It might be a tiger. I'm not sure. Joe Namath, that tune. That's cute. It says, IRC Peter Benchley really regretted writing Jaws and demonizing not just great whites, but all sharks. Let's find out what the most aggressive shark is because I can't stand it. Most. Bull shark is the most aggressive. It's naturally high in testosterone levels and unpredictable. Top three Sherlock cards are great white, tiger, and bull. Actually, it's a great white. Total attacks for great white is 351. Tiger's 142. Bulls are 119. So the bull sharks are considered more dangerous because they can travel in fresh water, and it brings them in higher contact with people. But they have 1/3 of the attacks. So do with that what you will. Signs with a story. You know the story to go with this one. Attention drivers, is the forklift operator out of your trailer? Some poor forklift operator got left behind at some point. Decoy Comic says, "If they aren't now, they will be after I go around this bend onto the highway," and it's r/ocean moment. Jack the Forky, that's appropriate, says, "I've been for an impromptu trailer ride. At least I waited until I was fully in. One driver pulled away as the forklift was exiting, causing the forklift to fall to the ground, injuring the operator and tearing the bay curtains down, which took the siding off. I want to buy Bell says what I said. Yikes. Yeah. Make sure the forklift driver and the forklift are out of your trailer before moving. Completely out, by the way. Relic 5000 said this happened to a former coworker. She got pulled out in a trailer. The supervisor was pissed. The driver was permanently banned, and the supervisor even threatened to call the cops. I'm now a truck driver, and I get loaded. I don't move the trailer unless I have the paperwork." Expectation versus reality. This is a cardboard urn for a cat. I guess this was the expectation. I mean, it's just a cardboard box. Why would you put something in a cardboard box? I don't know. That seems silly. This is Fergus the cat. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. What is your problem? Oh, it's a little small box. That came in a box was really small. Our cat Fergus was a dedicated lover of cardboard boxes. So when he passed away last October, we wanted to get him a cardboard urn made of ceramic, so he could rest in a box forever. I couldn't find an example, but I reached out to a ceramicist who specializes in recreating the look and textures of well-loved cardboard, and he was kindly accepted the commission job. The result far exceeded our expectations. We are so grateful to the artist for this fitting tribute to our boy. So I guess this is actually not a box. I approve this message, by the way. I changed my mind. This is what they made. That's pretty cool, all in all. That is pretty cool. It wasn't clear. Poor Fergus. I'm sorry for your loss. Not Fergus's loss, the loss of Fergus. D Panthers fan says, this is amazing. Opie says she agrees. Two is says, that artist is amazing with realism. Wow, I was confused if you wanted this at first because it's amazing. It looks so distressed and the tape and all. I'm glad you love it. It would make me giggle a bit seeing it and thinking of my box cats. Somebody says, I'm sorry for your loss. Anagram says, I started scrolling and rolled my eyes, expecting you were upset the box was stamped and stickered for some nonsense. Then I read the post as a touching tribute, and the artist absolutely exceeded expectation. I couldn't even tell it was ceramic. I couldn't either. Could you? Let me know in the comments if you could tell it was a ceramic. And while you're down there, please like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. I try to go live at least 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday through Thursday. Usually around noon, 11:30 noon, depending on what's going on. Sometimes I'm later, sometimes I'm earlier. Who knows what's going to happen? Tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your neighbors, tell your cousins, and the rest of your family. Tell your mother-in-law who did something bad for you, who did something that she shouldn't have done. Tell your mother. Especially tell your mother she's a good mom. Not all of them are. Next, we have a real estate section, and it is entitled, How About a Really Nice School on 49 Acres, plus it's in the middle of nowhere, northern Minnesota. Yes, I'll take it. This is not our usual place that we... This is what you're getting. Oh, that's the transfer. Okay. Here we go. That is beautiful. Sorry, did I share it? No, I did. Okay. That's beautiful. I love it. That's a very large lot. Too bad it doesn't include the waterfront. That would be perfect. It's wooded. It's fielded. It'd be a great place for like a horse farm or something. Where's this at? I can't remember. I can't remember where it's at. Nice. Would you like to buy a school? I would not mind living in this old school, to be honest. You got a playground? Oh my, that's a throwback. And they have teeter-totters. I thought those were passe now. Oh, we didn't do that anymore. There's a barn, a ball field, and another field. I assume we play sports ball on that field. Looks like at one time it probably had a track. Another picture of the playground. Another barn. What was the Indus School? For sale or lease? Inside of the school, there's some stuff left in there. There's a lot of stuff left in there. Holy cow. Why are we leaving so much stuff around? Why is there stuff stored in what looks like the bathroom? We have office space, principal's office. See, I would move my whole family in there. There's plenty of room. Y'all can stay with me. Like, you could make it livable. You have plenty of bathrooms. Built-in lockers. Storage. That's just storage. Did they leave all this stuff? Is this stuff staying? Or it would become the living room, I think. There's a chair on top of the table. That's weird. Oh, I need that. I need that chair right there. It is not comfortable at all. Oh, I need the skeleton too. Definitely need the skeleton. That's funny. That's hilarious. I love it. So must be science class. This is what? Cooking class? Look at all the kitchen equipment. Multiples of everything. Fun. Why does it say girls and men? That's ridiculous. I hate it. I hate it so much. Those are coming down. A locker room. Your typical gym teacher room. Like, it's terrible. Okay, the sports ball would have to go. That's 2023. Why are we drawing on the walls? Another locker room, smaller lockers. Oh, there's some bigger lockers there. Shower room. Music room, clearly. To get all the band equipment. My kids would love those drums. My boys were both drummers in high school. My daughter played baritone. They were the Trojans. Remember to wear your condoms, guys. Weight room with weights. This must be the shop or the auto. Maybe the auto shop. Doesn't look like the woodworking shop. Although there's lots of. That's nice. Did your school have an auto shop? Mine did. We were reminiscing about it on a thing. At least that one says girls and boys instead of girls and men. There's the kitchen, the industrial kitchen, not the other kitchen. I'd probably take this whole thing out. Just use the other room for cooking. If I were to live in it. Otherwise, it stays up, of course. There's your, oh, it's separate from in our school, Well, trying to think. Up until high school, I think. We had all our meals in the gym. The gym would be closed for meal times, and we would have these same um, tables, but they would be set up in the gym, and there was a big, huge closet for them. We ate in the gym, which is nasty when you think about it. Oh, it has a stage. That's nice. This would be the TV room. Put the TV up on the stage. You need some theater seating, of course. This must be the teacher's lounge because it looks comfortable. It looks more comfortable here. Oh, that's nice. It's like a covered thing. This looks like a horse rink, actually. Guess it's not. Maybe it's for football. Oh no, there's poops. I think those are poops. Yeah, that'd be cool. What are we doing in this area? I do know Saginaw has a covered football stadium. Saginaw, Saginaw University in Michigan. So yeah, music shop, drafting, boiler, and utility area, kitchen, your cafeteria, the gym, which has an exercise weight, a stage. Oh, the stage is in the cafeteria. Okay, that's kind of normal. School store, the gym hallway, health class, gym utility is in her bathrooms. Storage, girls' locker, boys' locker. And then it's interesting the way this all surrounds the gym, but I kind of don't like it because there's no outside entrance to the gym, and those gyms get hot. So in like the spring and fall, you kind of want to open a door and let some air in. Art, I don't know what fax means. Does it mean faculty? Is that the faculty room? Science, ITV, seventh and eighth something, social studies, the computer lab, resource room. Special ed is off the library. The library also has math and English, storage, faculty lounge, dean of students, a conference room, a sick room, a school office, social services and principal is off the school office. There's a nurse's room, which, do you really have nurses? I've never had my kid see a nurse at school. We had one when I was in school, but that was a different time. Office, elementary workroom. Another set of bathrooms, elementary bathrooms. Preschool, there's a preschool room, fourth grade. Elementary computer lab. So this must be like all ages. They had a dark room, that's nice. A special ed office. An elementary science lab. They also have another science lab. Elementary special ed. Fifth grade, fourth grade, preschool. Kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, sixth grade. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Comes with its own 28,000 square foot ice hockey and equestrian arena. I told you there was horses in there. Ice hockey and equestrian. Interesting. Even has a Zamboni. It is $1.7 million, which, I mean, we've seen houses less than that or more than that. Recently closed 69,000 square feet, pre-K through 12 country school with 49-acre campus. It's in Minnesota. It's on the Minnesota-Ontario border, so you'll get good use out of that Zamboni. Not gonna lie. World-class fishing opportunities. I don't know what's wrong with my mouth today. All the learning materials will remain with the building, including microscopes, pottery wheels, band equipment, and everything needed for metalwork and building trades. The school features a gymnasium with various types of sporting equipment, exercise equipment, a full weight room, and locker rooms. There's a 2,000 square foot library. I assume the books are staying, if everything else is. Cafeteria is staged to support performing arts. Modern School has fiber optics and a recently new roof in 2022. Has its own water supply with an 18,000 gallon storage tank and its own water treatment plant. There are 6 separate water, sewer, and electrical hookup stations where teachers would park their trailers. Interesting. Why are teachers parking trailers? I'm confused. The majority public land county is about the size of Puerto Rico. It has only 11,000 residents. Great deer and bear and the best grouse hunting in North America. Lots of trails for snowmobiling, side-by-sides, or horseback riding. Cool. Built in 1979, so it's not super old. Do you want to buy a school? Would you like to buy a school out in the middle of nowhere? I mean, that could be pretty cool for a family, a big multi-generation family. It's in Audette, Minnesota, is what it says. They say Minnesota? They did, anyway. Femo says, this is the nicest and most well-stocked school I've ever seen on Zillow. It's not on Zillow. Estrius has probably went through all the trouble of making a great school, but forgot that there aren't enough kids to keep the school open. Extra Alpha says that's why it's still not. It's no kids. RC says it's right next to the Canadian border. Look like it would be shining in the winter. Great price for all that room and acreage. Just imagine the heating bills. Oh yeah, there's that. Have to get lots of solar panels. We could put solar panels all over the top of it. It'd be fine. And a windmill. And maybe some. Oh, maybe you could put in some water. Put in you could probably build a battery, like a water battery. That'd be nice if you could build a water battery with solar and wind. That'd be cool. There's 6 separate water, sewer, and electrical hookup stations where teachers would park their trailers. Park their trailers. Teachers lived on the property. Slightly overrated says probably. I'm in Minnesota, and Baudette is in the middle of nowhere on the Canadian border next to Voyageurs National Park. That's cool. The next closest major city, I don't know if you can call it major, is Hibbing. And that's 2 hours away. The next closest actual major city is almost 4 hours. So you go stock up once a month. It's a beautiful place, very remote. Honestly, I'm surprised there's such a big school there in the first place. Azure Mage says, I grew up near, and this is overpriced. You can buy the local mall for less than that. 1 or 2 large churches for under 80,000. Oh, Lord Quinton says, I actually went to school there, graduated in 1884. There are 2 small towns about 40 miles away in either direction, Baudette on one end and International Falls on the other. And the school had students from both towns, from both rural homes and farms along the way. When I went there were about 200 students in the entire school from K through 12. My graduating class had 14 kids in it, and it was one of the bigger ones. It's closing codes on it. Combination of not enough students and not enough funding to justify staying open. It says COVID put a nail in the coffin. Okay, Orange says breakfast club retreats Gen X kids can hang out quietly in the library, get baked, and run around the school. Next, we have Server Life, and it is entitled I Just Can't Tonight. Oh, jeez. This ticket is ridiculous to admit. One person, one full rack of ribs, no side, overcooked. They were too juicy the last time. That's crazy. How can your ribs be too juicy? That's ridiculous. I don't blame you for canting. Dirge the Rogue says my lobster's too buttery looking. Like Mike says, the beer too cold, the daiquiri too fruitful. Climate Don't Carry It said, I had a lady ask me to take her pico de gallo off her bill because she didn't eat it. It tasted too fresh. Oh my. Corey Ceramic says, I had somebody send him back a crab claw appetizer because it tastes like seafood and I don't like seafood. Why did you order seafood, lady? Positive Benefit says, once scrubbed our grill mid-dinner rush because someone had a seafood allergy. And then they all are ordered fish tacos. What the heck? Emerson Hill said, I worked at a steakhouse with Longhorns. I had this guy a few times that told me that he wanted it not char on his steak because it caused cancer. I think he ordered a 14-ounce medium well 14-ounce New York strip. The cook later told me microwave the steak. I was out drinking with a former friend of the Outback who was a cook, and he tells me they wrapped the steak in foil for this guy. Wow. Snera says the friend from the Outback is what I'm calling my former coworkers for sure. Only if you work at Outback. Charwarma says, when I worked at the Roadhouse from Texas, we had a lady who would come in all the time, and she ordered filet well done, no grill marks, so they steamed it in a veggie bag. Holy cow, I had no idea this was going on. Tanko Doom says, Trunk Stop. I worked with at monthly specials for New York strips. Almost every well done order we microwave and then finish on the grill because it's faster and well done is nasty. Makeup Pudding says they fell right off the bone last time. It was awful. That's what they're supposed to do. Now I want ribs. I said the gyros I'm having for dinner, and I didn't eat lunch because there was nothing to be had. My husband ate my lunch last night. There were 2 pieces of pizza left. He ate all of the other pizza. How many pieces does a Caesar? Well, Caesar. How many? So I guess there's only 8 pieces. So he ate half the pizza. He ate half the pizza the other day. The other half should be mine, right? I'm here all day. I need lunches all day. So last night he ate one of the pieces of pizza I was saving for lunch today. And I called him on it. And he said, I can put it back. Like, no, you bit into it. That's nasty. That's gross. He says, I can cut it off. I'm like, that's still not a whole piece of pizza, is it? So I go to thinking that there's an equally large pizza because it was a big piece of pizza. The pizza left in there is the tiniest piece of pizza if you've ever seen. He could have eaten all the bread. I don't like the bread warmed up. I don't like the bread when it's cold. I don't like it warmed up. It's got to be fresh. So he could have eaten the entire thing of bread. Instead, he eats my piece of pizza and leaves me the teeniest, tiniest piece of pizza, the baby pizza that you've ever seen. It is so small. And I'm so mad. I'm hangry right now. I might tell him I was too hungry to contact the insurance company to make sure that they had me working from home or not working at all, actually. So I didn't even eat it. Like it wasn't worth eating. It wasn't worth heating up and eating because I needed to eat. So I had chips for lunch and I'm hungry. I have to go feed the cats, so I might get myself a shake somewhere. Next, we have confession is entitled I flushed a girl's car keys after she mocked me at a party. Yikes. Back in 2019, when I was 17, or sorry, back in 2009, back in '09, when I was 17, I was at a party after using the bathroom. I accidentally got a small pee stain on my beige chinos. One of the girls noticed and started whispering to her friends. They kept looking at me and trying not to laugh. I pretended not to care, but I was completely embarrassed. A buddy of mine later confirmed what I suspected. They'd been all talking about it and laughing behind my back. Later that night, I noticed the same girl left her keys on the table. In a moment of immature teenage revenge, I slipped them into my pocket. After the party, everyone went for late night tacos. While there, I went to the bathroom and flushed her keys down the toilet. No one ever saw me do it. No one ever found out it was me. I remember being stressed about losing them, but I kept my mouth shut. Looking back, she laughed at an embarrassing moment, and I responded by doing something much worse. At 17, it felt justified. At 34, it seems petty and mean. I don't know, taking her keys was probably justified, at least for a while. Flushing them, probably too far. I never told anybody this, and every now and then I still feel guilty about it. Edit, this blew up way more than I expected. Everyone says that. So here are a few extra details and some context. The party was mostly outside, but people were still hanging out inside, playing Jenga and some card party games. When Holiday Inn by Pitbull came on, people went outside to dance. I peregrine falcon those keys and instantly grabbed them. The keys are made for a Toyota Camry. To make this worse, I helped her look for them afterward. Love it. I threw them in the bathroom because I was a bit paranoid that they were going to search my pants. Her brother eventually picked her up in a Honda Odyssey after the taco stop. I still don't know if the keys made it through the plumbing. The sewer system may have been the real victim. Yes, I'm a male. Crimson Postgrad says this is a funny escalation that only makes sense at 17, honestly. Yeah. Knicker Feeboo says, quite frankly, my generation in their teens intentionally assholey because we thought it was spirit. We thought it was funny. I'm surprised when I look back and realize that even though I was an ass, there were countless kids who out assholed me. They were really stupid and unfunny. And somebody, Crimson says again, all generations of teenagers are a-holes. That's just how teenagers are. Yeah, they are. Their brains aren't developed yet. Aldritis says, you should feel more guilty about that toilet and sewer system. Take it to the highway says, you should have told her they were calico cut pants. I don't know. That was weird. Next is from Mother-in-Law's from Hell, and it's entitled Mill was so jealous of my engagement ring, she forced her sons to buy her one for Christmas and then faked the surprise. Wow. I need to vent about the Olympic-sized mental gymnastics my mother-in-law pulled when my husband and I got engaged. My husband, the youngest of three boys, caught everyone off guard by proposing. We aren't showy people, but it was such a beautiful private moment, just how we liked it. When Mill saw my ring, she almost died. She had this frozen, twitching smile on her face, trying so hard to pretend she was happy, while visibly processing that her youngest son dared to hit a major life milestone first. Apparently, the jealousy was eating her alive because she immediately went out and picked a specific, incredibly expensive ring and demanded her three sons buy it for her as a Christmas gift. That's weird. That is so weird. Apparently, because her other two golden child sons couldn't be bothered to drive an hour to pick it up, my husband ended up having to drive through a literal snowstorm just to fetch this woman's vanity prize. I was terrified of getting in an accident. Also, his mother could satisfy her ego. But the absolute chef's kiss? Christmas Day. She opens the box to a house full of guests. She gasps, put her hand over her heart, and pulls on a full Oscar-worthy performance about how shocked and surprised she is that her wonderful boys bought her this ring without her knowing. Then she literally padded around the room, thrusting her hand in everyone's faces. I almost puked. I never forget her nasty smirk. I know this behavior is called now, but back then I had no idea. I couldn't take the delusion. I looked right at her and said, "But you picked out that ring yourself. Why are you pretending?" This woman looked me dead in the eye, blinked, and immediately pretended she didn't hear a single word of what I said. I already knew she was a huge head case, but that day was officially set in stone. No one else dealing with a mill who needs to be the bride at every wedding, the center of attention no matter what. Let's hear some real life stories about these insane, toxic mother in laws. Did she wear white to your wedding? I want to know. I need an update. Popular Jaguar said, "My mill did everything she could to take place of my mother of the groom at my son's wedding. And again, as the mother of the bride at my daughter's wedding. At my daughter's wedding. At my daughter's wedding, the wedding coordinator shut that down and told her that was my role and that I decide who sits where. She fought until I told her to knock it off, or she'd be sitting in the back row of the church. She stormed off, took her stuff from my seat, and took her stuff from my seat." Opie says that's crazy. After reflection says your future mother-in-law is going to be a big problem. Your fiance is going to have to set boundaries with consequences. Your wedding, holidays, children, where you live, all the normal phases of marriage will be difficult. Opie says you got that right. We've been married for 8 years, and you hit a nail on the head with everything you said. She's been an absolute nightmare. Since then, she's done things 10 times worse than the ring stunt. She almost caused us to get divorced at one point. We have very strict boundaries in place, and we now only see her on occasion, and I cringe every time I see her face. I'm so glad I found this community. Looking back, I still can't believe what I've endured with her. And I really wish I knew then what I know now. I would have gotten no contact a lot earlier and told her off instead of being kind and easy for her to manipulate at the time. Being no contact has really saved me. Sounds like you're low contact, not no contact. As I said about my mother time and time again, she's the bride at every funeral and the corpse at every wedding. Lazy instruction says my mill for my first marriage. You used to say why it was first. Basically poured herself on her son, my new husband, during the groom and mother of the groom dance, the mother-son dance. Why didn't you just say mother-son dance? Everyone there was uncomfortable, which made it overtly sexual. He had the absolute gall to get mad at me later in the evening for dancing with my bridesmaids. He said, and I quote, "No wife of mine is going to be out there shaking her butt like that in front of people." The stupid crap we do it when we're 21. This is why you wait till you're 25 to get married. Noel Ed said, "OMG, similar ex-mel and ex, married at 20 and divorced by 26. Most of us have profoundly underdeveloped pictures at that age and no sense for life partner material yet. My oldest two is adults, both son now married. I can't fathom being flirtatious with them or feeling jealous versus excited and about their happiness with my daughter-in-law. I couldn't even. That's so gross." That's interesting AF. It is entitled "Building Gets Progressively Worse as They Go Down the Stairway After Earthquake in Venezuela" today, and this was about a month ago. I don't remember when that earthquake. I heard about it.
Mierda, weón. Qué loquera, weón.
Oh yeah, there's a crack. There's the larger one. You're not lying. It does get worse as you go down. Holy cow. This is an outside stairwell. Dang.
Mierda, weón. Qué locura esta mierda, weón. acabó con el edificio.
The huge crash. Oh my, the whole thing went down. The walls are literally missing. I'm surprised it's still standing up.
Mierda, weón. Yo acabo de subir del ascensor. Acabo de entrar.
Oh my goodness. That's horrible. That is scary. Horrible. Sucker says, panic increasing as you reach closer to safety. Corky Pangolin says, thank God they're getting out of the building after shots could tear the whole thing. Exactly. That was my fear. Gabba Black says, if this was after the first one, I can't imagine the building surviving the second one, which was even stronger. Somebody says they were 40 seconds apart, so that was after the second one. Corky Crook says, well, that's terrifying. Xenomorph Worldwide says the distant screams and yells through the video are heartbreaking. They are. Completely agree. Toby's Fuzzy Belly says, wow, this is terrible. Imagine being elderly and living on the top floors. Says it like joke on it. Says, I was picturing having to get my mom out of there the whole time. I was picturing mom getting me out of there the whole time. That's terrible. Next, we have Am I the A-hole? Entitled AITA for refusing to go for a full week on my wife's family vacation after agreed not to repeat it. For years, my wife, our two kids, and I went to the same beach town for a week with part of my wife's family, her brother, sister-in-law, their kids, and her mom. We originally did that because another sibling's family lived there. So it was a chance to get all the cousins together. Okay. A week seems like a long time to me. The issue is that the trip, especially if you're not allowed to come and go. Like I would do this, but I would do this near enough to where I live that people could go home. People could go home for a night or two if they wanted to. I would stay there for the week, but they can come and go as they need to. The issue is that the trip became extremely repetitive and rigid. Same beach, same street, same basic schedule, same restaurants and meals on the same days. Strict quiet times and bedtimes, very little flexibility. That would annoy me. My wife's family is very routine and driven and frugal. My family is structured too, but on vacations like variety, activities, and some flexibility. Agreed. I mean, I don't agree with being that rigid in any circumstance because you need to have some fun in life and spontaneity. When the other siblings' family still lived there, it was more balanced. Once they stopped going, it became just us and the routine driven side. The last couple of years were miserable. The house got smaller while the kids got bigger. The routine became more rigid. The kids were bored and stir crazy. And I ended up trying to take them out to do things just to break up the week. That caused tension because I was going outside the plan. Can my eyes roll back in my head enough? My wife was also stressed and admitted afterward that the trip was no longer enjoyable. After the last trip, my wife and I had a long discussion and agreed that we would not do that same vacation again. We talked about trying something different, mountains, lake, different beach, and really anything else. Recently, my wife handed me her phone and asked which vacation house was nicer. It was the same beach, same street, same exact trip again. I was angry because I thought we'd agreed that this was done. Her explanation is that her mom said this location is sentimental to her and that she wanted all the grandkids together there. Her brother's family agreed immediately. My wife says it was this or nothing, so she chose this because getting grandma and the kids together was important to her. She has already fully committed herself and her kids going for the full week. She assumed that I would eventually agree just to go along. Don't assume things. Don't assume things. Even about your spouse, don't assume. My issue is I feel like our mom and brother made the decision and my wife accepted it. I was informed after the fact that I told her I felt betrayed and isolated because we already agreed to, as a couple not to repeat this trip. She keeps circling back to this is important to me. Why won't you just do it for me? We've been fighting for a solid week about it, so I offered a compromise. I said, I said because it's become so important to her, I'll come for the last 2 nights. She's committed herself and the kids for the full week. Now she says that since she knows I don't want to be there, I've ruined it. Asked why I have to act this way, and she has brought up around the kids, so now there's conflict. I'm not trying to stop the kids from seeing their grandmother. I'm not saying no to them going. I'm saying no to spending a full week of my vacation time repeating the exact same trip we already agreed was bad for our family. It sounds horrible, to be honest. Who wants that much rigidity on vacation? This is the only week you get off? That would suck so bad to do this over and over and over and over again. Never see anything new. Never experience anything else. It's bad for the kids, too. They need to experience different things. Ashlyn says, NTA, but I'd probably just go make plans with my kids to do whatever they and you want. Who cares what anyone else thinks? Yeah, but there's only a certain amount of things you can do, and then after a couple of years, you run out of things. Find stuff that you haven't done before, go places you haven't gone before. And if her family has an issue with it, say it's your vacation too, and you and the kids are going to have fun. Maybe if they realize that you aren't going to be a pushover and do what they want, they either won't push as much for you to go, or they'll just let it go. Make memories with your kids for everyone else. Colorado says, if you tell me the beach, I'll winging look for things for you and the kids to do. I'm so mad on your behalf. I'm so hungry right now. Ipso Pacto Facto says, why did you let me down? Why did you lie? Why did you prioritize your mother and brother over your husband? You're disrespectful and clearly our marriage isn't something that you care much about. Don't ask me why I won't give in to you, your mother and brother. Just ask yourself why you put me in this position. Your mother's vacation wants have to come first for too many years. I'm entitled to have my wife to keep her promise with me without being demoralized. I wouldn't go at all. Or 3-year-old says, why do you prioritize your mother and brother over your husband and your kids? Fix it for you. Copper Bit Blitter says, exactly. And the kids should be given the choice as to whether they want to go or not. Yeah, there comes a time where you're not going to be able to get everybody together. They're not little anymore, and you can't control them once they become adults. You can try, but you can't. You can try, and if you do try, you might not see them at all. Squeaky says, how about you go and stop letting them dictate the plan? You want to take the kids somewhere, take them and let them complain. Mary KB says, sounds like that's much easier than done. Yeah, that's true. Trick Love says, NTA, but your wife is. She can go alone if she wants. The kids shouldn't be forced into it, and neither should you. I'm sorry that's happening to you, OP. It's not right. Next is I Don't Work Here Lady, and it's titled, Can I Help You Find That Fabric? Stumbled on this sub and thought it was hilarious, reminding me of my own experience. My mom was a custom dressmaker from the age of 12 until I moved out at 19. Oh, sorry. Let me start that over. My mom was a custom dressmaker. From the age of 12 until I moved out at 19, I was a designated assistant. I'm a guy, and while I'm bi, I usually come off as straight. By the time I was in high school, I was patterning, making my own dresses for her shop. During the busy prom season, I was in charge of shopping. I needed to get a bunch of notions we were short on and some bolts of fabric we knew were going to be popular. So I was walking around with a cart full of fabric, bolts, and a bunch of notions. Some lady walks up to me and asks if I can help. She was trying to sew a dress for her little daughter and wasn't very experienced and wanted to help getting what she would need. So I just turned to say, I have to look at the pattern and realize it's probably too advanced for her. So I let her know that, and we go searching through the patterns until we find one that would be on her skill level. We then go finding the right fabric. When we find the correct notions, I grab my cart and we walk up to the cutting table. I need a few smaller pieces of fabric cut, and then I go, You can ask this lady how to cut and how much. She thanks me and heads up to the cashier. Then I get my fabric cut and go to the line right behind the woman. She turns and asks why I'm in line. I let her know, oh, I'm picking up some things from my mom's dress shop and a few pieces for some projects I'm working on personally for a close friend. She then turns red and starts apologizing. She assumed I was the only reason a guy would be in the fabric store is because they work there. Don't make assumptions. What did we say about this? And with all the bolts of fabric, assumed I was putting them back on the shelf. I hope her daughter's dress turned out wonderfully, and the woman had more fun projects. Well, at least she apologized and was embarrassed about it, assuming. TV Dragon says, oh, that was so nice of you to help to give her a personal shopper experience. Helping find a pattern she could work with is next level helpfulness. Opie says, I always hated it when my mom gave me a project way beyond my ability. So I was always very worried about other people's skill level and the pattern. Oh, that's nice. What a sweetie. Great Bookkeeper says, this is probably the nicest post I've seen on here. What a kind thing to do. A bookworm says, well, that's sweet. At least you didn't assume a man wouldn't know how to sew and start trying to take stuff out of your cart because you're just reselling. So why can't I have it? OP says, definitely been woman slayed in the fabric shop before, I bet. I bet. I always prefer the high-end stores because they usually assume you know what the wing you're doing. Otherwise, you would never be in that hole in the wall. Overheard, and it's entitled, That's What Reading Is, Bro. My son, 18, and two friends. Friend 1, are you reading a book, bro? Son, yeah, bro. Friend, what book? Son, Dune. Ooh, that's a book. Friend, how far you got, bro? Son, I'm about 250 pages in. Friend 2, cool book, bro. Then 10 seconds says, Friend 1, so you just have to, like, imagine everything that happens? Friend 2, that's what reading is, bro. Why? I mean, have you never read a book, kid? Independent King says this is classic and will stay with me for a while. Void syntax error says this is why random conversation with friends are funnier than most comedy shows. Nobody was trying to be funny, and that's what makes it a hit. Lady Squirrel's the second top rated comment. She says, wait until they make a movie about a book you love and get the characters wrong. The Jack Reacher series with Tom Cruise, ugh. Reacher is huge. Like hands like dinner plates, not Tom's little hands, skid hands. Reacher would take up a doorway and barely get in. He's 5'6", 5 or 6. Cruise is 5'6" with his lifts in. Exactly. Next comment is I wouldn't I can't even look at Tom Cruise. He looks like a weasel. Like I had this. You remember when the not the Hunger Games, the other one. One was Shailene Woodley. Shailene Woodley was not meant for that part. That part was meant for a little teeny tiny girl. Like the character was supposed to be really dark haired and 5 feet tall. It was supposed to be because of her very small stature. She was supposed to be tiny and wispy, very petite. And that's what made all of the things that she could accomplish amazing. Because she was very petite. Shailene Woodley's like a giant compared to that. I don't even know how tall Shailene Woodley is. I guess her weight was okay, but or her body type. Yeah, she's 5'8". So she's 8 inches taller than the girl that was in the books. And it drove me nuts. Stuff like that drove me insane. When they did When to Get Ready, which is the Stephanie Plum series, they made a book on that. They totally got both Ranger and Joe wrong. Joe did not have blue eyes. Joe had brown eyes. And Ranger was much more smoldery than the guy who played him in that movie. Makes me mad. I can't even visualize things and it makes me mad. Next, we have True Off My Chest and is entitled, I Witnessed a Child Die and the Butterfly Effect is Getting to Me. So this is not safe for work, content warning for violence and death. So be warned. I very recently was moving an old fence and quickly realized I needed a screw extractor. I dropped my tools and headed to the hardware store. I had my blinker on, heading to the right turn lane when this guy sped past me in the straight lane and cut in front of me. I let him know he was an a-hole while laying on my horn. I followed Speedy Gonzalez around the corner. He comes to an abrupt stop. I see a child's bike and immediately feel sick to my stomach. I don't remember much other than getting out to help along with some other witnesses and the driver. Little one was clearly gone. After EMS police arrived, they had us provide a statement and send us on our way. I can't even to begin what explained to see a child like that. All I can think about is someone's baby, a child with a whole life ahead of them, a child who was enjoying the first week of summer vacation while riding her bike in the park. We were all once that child. I can't get the image out of my head and I can't stop thinking about the what ifs. What if I had left 20 seconds earlier? Would they still be here? I can't sleep, which is why I'm writing this at 3 a.m. I'm starting therapy on Monday. Thank goodness, because I was going to suggest that. But I just need to get this off my chest, somehow easier to let it out to strangers. Please hug your children tight and teach them the dangers of vehicles. Even if they have the right of way, there are so many distracted drivers nowadays. Edit, I want to thank everybody for responding, especially to those who have shared their stories. My heart goes out to all of you. I haven't gone into detail about this with anyone I know because I feel it takes away from the victim. It doesn't. You can share. You're allowed to have your feelings and your thoughts about it, and you're allowed to share those. Obviously, therapy is the answer to a situation like this, but in the meantime, it has made me feel less alone. I will make sure to support future posts. I know someone who accidentally killed a kid. Like, they didn't do anything wrong. They were driving a truck and didn't see them, and it haunts him. Revolutionary Hat said, I once had a guy die in my arms. I tried to save him, and he didn't. It's a long story, but I did my best, and it just wasn't good enough for them that occasion. What I found out was for the next month, I was completely paralyzed with grief, trauma, and constantly replaying the whole incident. I had to find some counseling for me, and I needed to also invest time and energy into learning a lot more about first aid. It took me 6 months to truly come to terms with the situation. You sound like a very level-headed person. Make sure you get as much counseling as you need. Somebody says it sounds fake. It doesn't sound fake at all to me. And somebody calls them out for thinking it's AI. OP says, weighing AI and weighing the skepticism this has caused to the point where it affects real human interaction. I don't blame people for thinking about it. It just goes to show the depressing times we're living in, where everything has a catch. Agreed. OP says it's 100% real. I've been internalizing this last couple of days, and I needed to talk about it. I have amazing friends and family, but it's not something I want to dump on them. Hence why I came here to share it. It's been eating me alive. The reason I use generic wording is because someone found the case I was involved in. Also, where's the apology there? Like Noble, where's the apology you owe this person? Chipmunk Rampage says, oh my God, you poor thing, how devastating. It's natural human reaction. Be kind to yourself. You're a warm and empathetic person, and you need love and space too. See a counselor, play Tetris, find Tetris. Play Tetris until you're playing Tetris in your sleep. True story. Find a comfort space. It was someone's baby, and that's unfathomable. But you need time to heal from what you witnessed. Soup Panda says the father of a 1-month-old, and his birthday is in a few days. The story makes my heart hurt. As a mother of 3 children and a grandmother of 2, it tears my heart up. I'm sorry you had to witness this, and I can't imagine what you're going through. I wish I had something to help comfort you, but there's nothing that will help you either. Or the parents. Sucks saying it, but the only time it helps, I guess. Also Tetris, WTF. Galaxy Vane says it's so weird, but something about playing Tetris helps the brain not imprint traumatic memories. It's proven. Somebody says it's been debunked. And she asked for a source, and none is given. So we're going to say Tetris for the win. What to do? Entitled, My Girlfriend Gave Me a Test and I Accidentally Failed It. What do I do? Break up with her because she shouldn't be testing you like that. My girlfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years. Last night we were watching TV when she suddenly asked, if I gained 100 pounds, would you still be attracted to me? I thought she was joking, so I laughed and said, probably not physically, but I'd still love you. Apparently, it was the wrong answer. She got really quiet and later told me she was disappointed because she wanted someone who would find her attractive no matter what. You can't say that. You don't know. Okay, gain 100 pounds and see, I guess. I told her I was being honest and that attraction and love aren't the same thing. Now she's barely talking to me, and one of her friends texted me saying I was insensitive. She was insensitive. She shouldn't ask questions you don't want the answers to. I generally wasn't trying to hurt her feelings. I thought lying would have been worse. Did I mess up here? What do I do? Gum Cycle says, to be honest, in her mind, it probably expands to the in sickness and in health vow. Okay, and somebody says that's not about love. That's about love, not attraction. He did say he would still love her. Kiwi Star Baby says, yeah, I get that attraction is outside of people's direct control, but it still grosses me out when something as benign as weight gain. Benign is low on the spectrum of potential physical changes that come with disease. Is enough to remove a person's attraction to their partner. Maybe it's because I work with sick patients every day. They're like, what's the actual weighing? How mentally weak and pathetic do you have to be to only be attracted to their partner if the body stays the same? Everybody's bodies change. Someone messaged her and said, maybe have some discipline, don't become an obese whale. She said she'll be sure and pass that on to my steroid-dependent, fluid overload cancer patients and their partners. Great tip. Somebody called her uncharitable. I don't agree with that exactly. Next is entitled parents, entitled AITA for getting mad when my parents forced me to cancel my summer plans. No, you're allowed to feel your feels. You're allowed to feel however you're going to feel about it. You don't have to like it. It's quite literally summer after high school, after my grad ball. I, 18 female, fully intended on going out and having fun one last time before my friends and I were separated by college. And since my entire family is moving to a new country in August, I just really wanted to spend one last summer with everybody. That makes perfect sense to me. I would be encouraging that. Go spend time with your friends while you can. We're moving and you're going to college. Go spend time with your friends. That's insane. Bad parents. For context, my parents aren't usually strict or unfair. They just simply expect me to inform them of plans beforehand and have those plans approved by them. Which is, you're 19 years old, you're 18 years old. They don't need to know every little thing anymore. Which is exactly what I did. I sat them down, I explained my entire July itinerary, which I double checked with them to ensure that I had their explicit permission. Today, my mom barges in and say, "Hey, when are you going out, hang out with your friends?" I think it's a weird request, but I reminded her that I already told her everything. She acts completely oblivious, which should have been the first sign that I was about to be irritated AF today. She then asks how attached I am to these plans, and I say very, because why TF would I make plans? Well, you need to cancel them. We're going to be apartment hunting next week. So we'll be flying out for 2 weeks. So leave her at home. She's 18 years old. She can stay home for 2 weeks. As long as you've raised her correctly and she can feed herself, you can leave her at home. What? When I expressed my confusion, she elaborates that she needed an excuse not to socialize with her friends because my parents despise socializing for some reason and thought leaving the country was easier than declining a dinner invitation. So I reminded her, but I told her about my plans a month in advance and that I was meeting childhood friends for the first time in a decade. And this was just really unfair. It is. No, you're right. I'm going to be living on my own soon in college. Really should I have to say this? And actually, my dad likes to have a screaming fit about family sticking together and about how I was being selfish. She's not. She told you what she planned to do. You're the ones being selfish. for wanting to spend time with my friends over my family. Not She'll have her family forever. Her friends are like transient at this point. She's going to be friends with some of these people forever and some of them not at all after a couple weeks of college, to be honest. Not to forget ungrateful because I was willing to waste money on flight tickets I didn't know were being booked until right now. Now, if I was a bigger person, I would be mature and sit down and have a level-headed discussion with them. Since I'm not the biggest person, I threw the biggest tantrum I've ever had since maybe 3. Honestly, I don't blame you, girl. I'm talking tears, screaming, and throwing fruit salad onto the floor. It was immature and probably an overreaction, but the rage bait kind of got to me. So now I have to run to my, run. So now I have run into my room, slammed the door shut, and angrily typed this up. My parents are expecting an apology, which I find ridiculous because they should be apologizing to me first. No, you should be the bigger person and apologize first. Say, listen, I overreacted, but you go on this little trip that you want. I'm staying here. I'm 18 and I'm staying here. Of course, my mom was loudly calling her sisters, telling them about her ridiculous, overdramatic, spoiled daughter, knowing full well that I can hear her because she's literally right outside my door. So call your aunts and say, "This is what happened. Am I being?" She said, and admit that you were overreacting and a little bit of a brat about it, but for reasons. And to add it, I feel like this is an important detail. I'm completely financially dependent on them. They're fully paying for my college fees, accommodations, and essentially completing funding for my lifestyle until I finish schooling. Okay, and this includes bachelor's, master's, whatever else I decide to take up. I find it extremely important for me to focus on studying, not distracted by a job or anything unnecessary. A job is important to have in college. You should have a little job in college, a little 5 hour a week job at least. I find it extreme, at least in the summer. I find it extremely important for I know this is incredibly privileged, and I wouldn't want to waste it by upsetting them. As such, going against them would also mean I'd essentially be entirely on my own, and I really don't want that to happen either. Term known says controversial NTA. They had the perfect opportunity to give when you gave them your itinerary to say we're flying out for 2 weeks. Plus, they just didn't, and that's a bait and switch. Lucy Lou says this: you're an adult. Elias says an adult that's completely financially dependent on the parents. Okay, and they're adult, they can stay home. Lucy Lou says adult all the same. Agreed. I'm curious to see if they see their child as an extension of themselves and not their own personal feelings. Meg Dova says, ask why they want you to go when you aren't moving with them. Ask why they think you care where they live. Exactly. She admits that she's living with them during school breaks. Also, because they're big on family sticks together no matter what, which is ridiculous. If I were to put up too much of a hot fight, it'd be humongous hassle. LOLing it says family sticks together is a control tactic. Your father doesn't get to decide that if that's your motto. He can only decide for himself. Even if you agree with him, you still get to decide what that means to you and not live by his twisted, manipulative warping of the meaning. You're also 18, so just stay home with friends. Agreed. Ragnarok and Roll says, I heard that a lot prior to the divorce and after. And some more from my father, who moved out of the country and expected me to pay for an airline ticket to see him in said country when I didn't even have a passport. And some after he died alone in that country from my mom after she told me I was the son of a bitch. And my sister when she wanted money. And my brother when he wanted to make up to my sister and keep the peace, since she's a monster when angry, and me refusing to listen to her demands makes her angry. And family sticking together is just an excuse. You don't need to say it when you actually do stick together for the right reasons. Exactly. Second temporary comment says, NTA, you informed them of your plans well in advance. They made conflicting plans later, knowing your plans when they did it. So the waste of money on the plane ticket is on them. Not your fault, not your problem. Let them fly out. You can follow your own plans. Don't let them force you onto that plane. Yes, they're moving to the UK, but that doesn't say where they're. I know. Oh my goodness, why am I so tired? So moving from Germany to the UK. That's like moving states in the US. How far away are they moving? Not 1,500 miles, so it's a good bit. It'd be like Minneapolis or Houston to California. So, next we have Oh No Consequences, and it is entitled OP serves her cheating husband with divorce papers, and he suddenly wants to work things out. Originally from Off My Chest. Uh, Original post October 17, 2025. My lawyer gave me the best news. My female 38 husband, soon to be ex husband, has been cheating on me, and he wants her instead of me. I'm probably naive because I didn't see this coming at all. I was researching vacation options for our 10th anniversary next year, and in the meanwhile, he, 39 male, sorry, was running around with another woman. She's either 25 or 27. Yikes. I can't remember which. Doesn't matter. That is way too big of a. If she's 27, especially. Oh no, she's 25 especially. Yeah, that's way too big either at either of those ages. Way too big of an age gap. What do they even have in common? I've known people who have gotten divorced and you have to live separately for a year before you can get a divorce. Where you are here, you don't. My dad's wife and her husband were both married less than a year after they broke up. Less than a year after they filed for the divorce. I wanted people to be prepared, so I made an appointment with my lawyer. Now, it was probably the best thing I've ever done. She told me that in our state, alimony is forbidden if there is adultery. Since my husband cheated, I won't have to pay alimony. Oh, I was prepared to that I would have to pay out the nulls, but I have proof that he cheated on me. He gave me himself, so I won't have to pay him. The best news I could have gotten. Also, the living separately for a year only applies in no-fault divorces in my state. Since I have proof he cheated, my lawyer went ahead and filed on my behalf based on adultery. Technically, my husband and I still live together. Our lease expires on the 31st, and the countdown on our separation was supposed to start November 1st. I wish I could be there to see his face when he, one, gets served with the notice that I filed, and two, he finds out he won't get alimony because he cheated. He wanted a no-fault divorce, and I know he's counting on getting alimony. It was the best news I could have gotten. I don't even have words for how amazing I sound. Commenter number 1, congratulations, and come back and share his reaction. Commenter number 2, I love this for you and him. The best revenge is living your best life and leaving him in the dust, yes. And live fabulously. And make him make sure he knows it. Commenter number 3, I've never been excited for a stranger to get a divorce in my life. Buy that lawyer an edible arrangement. Update December 4th, 2015, a month and a half later. This is kind of anticlimactic, but there were some comments in my original asking me, female 38, to update what happened after my husband was served the divorce papers. I also want to thank everybody for the kind comments they left. Even though I had gotten the news from my lawyer, this has still been a horrible time in my life, and all the encouragement helped. I'm sure it was horrible, but and you need all the encouragement you can get when you're going through it. My husband, soon to be ex-husband, was predictably not happy that when he was served and found out that I had filed for divorce. He was under the impression we had to be separated for a year first. I told him to talk to a lawyer. We both moved out of our condo during the last week in October when the lease ended, and we live separately now. After a few days, he was served, and I told him to get a lawyer and leave me alone. My husband told me he has changed his mind and asked if we could work things out. What a jerk. I said, no wagging way, and told him to have his lawyer talk to my lawyer because I'm done talking to him. He was upset and almost in tears when I said I wouldn't reconsider. It's been enough and I have not seen or spoken to him. He has tried talking to me. Edit, I'm extremely happy about it because I don't want anything to do with him ever again. Our lawyers are doing all the communicating. He may have been upset, but he broke my heart first, and even the good news from my lawyer hadn't eased how broken I feel. Yeah, I can get that. Edited to add, I'm turning off my messages so people will stop DMing me and calling me two-paced for being disappointed that he hasn't contacted me again. I'm actually happy he hasn't because I want nothing to do with him ever again. I'm the opposite of disappointed. Top comments. OP's only comment to a downvoted comment regarding the divorce can be difficult and how complicated feelings are about how it's playing out. She says, I'm excited that he hasn't tried to contact me. I'd hoped he would stop trying to talk to me after the first time when I told him to get a lawyer. I'm upset he contacted me a second time. I thought I was clear the first time, but I'm glad he got the message. The second time because I don't want nothing to do with him ever again. Commenter 1 says, I'll bet she dumped him. Commenter 2 says, he realized he derailed the gravy train and his new girlfriend dumped his broke ass. Good for you, you deserve better. Number 3 says, I bet his girlfriend dumped him. Plus, he has nothing to gain from the divorce, so of course his pathetic ass wants to reconcile. I'm sorry you have to go through this, but time will dampen the pain. Wishing you the best. I wonder if there's any more updates. Let's find out. No, just those two. It's been a while, and I mean, things change sometimes. Chicken Sandwich says, I wonder if he was expecting alimony and has now learned that he is no longer entitled to it. I'm also wondering if he was expecting to spend that year wanging around trying to reconcile at 10 or 11 months later and suddenly having to speed up his timeline. I'm also wondering if he got dumped by the AP. Either way, he can get bent. Second top rated comment is from Sweet Cinnabons. I'm so glad the mod post shares the content. If I click through and read, I'll be typing responses. It saves me. Oh, yeah. Lemon Girl says, oh, me too. I've done it on accident before, and I'm paranoid at checking what's up on mom before I comment. Ick says, during the actual divorce, my youngest said, well, this isn't upsetting you at all. Dad's upset. And I said, we show our emotion differently. I cried for 3 years straight, remember? It took him longer to show sad. What a joke. Helpful Hour says it took him longer to show sad. Translation, it took him longer to get hit by the consequences of his actions. Right. Next is Best of Brother Updates entitled AITA for telling my husband he ruined my birthday again. This was originally posted to Am I the A-Hole? Original post, March 12th, 2023. Background, today is my 28th birthday. I'm really into birthdays and holidays, and I believe in celebrating them to the max. And this is well known to everyone. I'm also the planner and the giver in not only my family, husband and kids, but my extended family, siblings, parents, siblings, friends, etc. So I'm the one that plans birthday get-togethers, gifts, travel, etc. I'm also a stay-at-home mom due to having a son with complex medical and behavioral needs. I've been with him 24/7 for the past week. It's school break, and he's extremely clingy and has behavior problems due to mental illness. She does not say how old the son is. I also had upper respiratory cold during this time, sore throat, fever, cough, Runny nose, earache, but I keep up with mom duties nonetheless. My husband's birthday was last month, and as usual, I planned something for him. Weekend in town, a couple of hours away for us. In a town, a weekend in town, a couple of hours away from away for us and our kids. I don't know why that wasn't so hard. For my birthday, I tell him I just want to help with the kids, the house clean, a nap, and him to cook supper or take me out. Maybe a homemade gift from the kids and a cake. Yesterday, my husband starts complaining of a sore throat. I check his throat and it looks fine. No fever or other symptoms. He stays up all night playing video games. Don't do that. This morning he says he's sick but has no visible symptoms. No fever, no cough, no runny nose. Doesn't sound like someone with a cold. He says his throat hurts but spent an hour on Xbox live talking just fine. His throat don't hurt that much. He naps all day because he says he's sick. I think it's because he stayed up until 4 a.m. playing video games. Meanwhile, I make my own cake, take care of the kids as usual, and do my usual chores. He didn't even tell me happy birthday. He probably forgot. I finally decided to take the cake I made with the kids to my parents' house to have supper there so I didn't have to cook. Yeah, you shouldn't have to cook on your birthday. That's the last time. That's the last place you should have to cook. Unless you've already scheduled a different meal out. And even then, you should have pizza. Get some pizza. I'm pretty crappy at this point, and I don't say a word before we leave. He calls and asks why we left. I tell him because he ruined my birthday yet again. I'm trying to salvage at least a little and hung up. He called back and said I was overreacting. She's not. He's sick and I'm an adult, but birthdays aren't a big deal anymore after 21. So AITA for wanting one day to be the receiver instead of the giver and to celebrate myself. No, not at all. Relevant comments. Old gal says, NTA, if he cared, he would have tried sore throat or not. You need to have a discussion on one-on-one. Littles need to be somewhere else about your relationship. Adults need care and attention too, whether you are over 21 or not. I added to add happy birthday. OP says, I did forget to mention that when we went out of town for his birthday, I was sick then too. I have an autoimmune disorder, so I get sick a lot, especially during allergy season. But I didn't let it stop me from doing anything to celebrate his birthday. I made sure he had a good weekend. So she was sick when she celebrated his birthday out of town, and he can't even like get dinner for her. The lead says NTA, but stop doing things for people who don't reciprocate your value, with the exceptions of your children. No more birthday parties for these lazy people. Let them do their own events and start having them contribute to the house. Your stay-at-home mom duties only till he comes home. After that, it's a shared effort. If he has time to play video games, he has time to help around the house. If he complains, it's because he has a job and then you get a job. You deserve a break, and daycare is better for a child's development anyways. Oh, P says, I 100% would love to go back to work. I've only been a stay-at-home mom for 3 months, and it's not my choice. My son cannot go to daycare after school care. Long story, but he did for 6 years, and it's not an option anymore. It's weird. Soda Butte says, can you get a part-time job where you only work when your kids are in school? OOP says, I'm going to try next school year. I live in BFE, so the only option would be work in the school office or as a para, and they only hire a month before school starts to start at the beginning of school year. I should be able to get the job because of my education experience if one is open. I'm also training to be a special education parent advocate, so once I'm done with training, I can do that part-time during school hours and work from home. Three Dog Knit says, NTA, you did your job in communicating what you wanted. In fact, the fact that he did not show any concern for you shows a lot. Caregivers need care too. You did not ask for advice, but I wanted to suggest the following. Don't bother with his birthday. Make plans on your birthday with others who are willing to celebrate you. You do not have to share your plans with him. He's irrelevant. Birthdays are nothing to him, so your plans do not need to involve him in any way. Finally, happy belated birthday. Parenting is a thankless job, but it sounds like you're rocking it. OOP updated the post 1 year later on 3/23/24. A year update because I've been asked for it a few times. She says, wow, I didn't know this would blow up like this when I posted it. Shortly after my birthday in this post, I had several sit-down talks with my husband. A lot of his lack of effort stems from the way he was raised. He actually started therapy shortly after our talk. Well, that's good, and he's become a lot more attentive. We found out I was pregnant in October, a huge surprise as I didn't get pregnant after 5 years of trying and 2 years of fertility treatment. Oops, does that sometimes. My pregnancy has been high risk and very rough on me emotionally and physically. I have a lot of restrictions and was recently put on bed rest after already being on minimum activity light duty. He's been amazing taking care of me, the house, the kids, and even helping a lot while my mom has been in and out of the hospital for aneurysm and strokes. Oh my gosh, girl, you're going through it. For my birthday this year, he got me a gift. Made what I want for supper: steak, lobster tail, mussels, Brussels sprouts, and bread. That's a good surf and turf. I wish my husband would do that. He does not cook. But he'll get me pizza though. I got my current favorite dessert. We're limited on what we can do because of my pregnancy restrictions, but I got a chick flick movie going for us in the evening and watched it with me without a complaint. He was the first one to tell me happy birthday right at midnight. I want to thank all of you for the insight, advice, and courage. I am so glad. I don't even want to read the comments. I am so glad that that man turned himself around. See, the guys, it can be done. All you have to do is put a little bit of effort into it. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. Next is I quit smoking for a chance to date this gorgeous woman. I've been smoke free since and happily married for 20 years now. And there's a bad picture of her. I'm glad you quit smoking. That's good. Sailor Crush says, I went on 3 dates with a smoker, and after the third one, I said, I've been having so much fun with you. Unfortunately, I don't think my lungs can handle being with a smoker long term. I have a couple chronic issues. His immediate response was, then I quit, and he did. It was 7 years ago, and we just celebrated 6 months married a couple of days ago. It feels like a glimpse into our future in the best way. Cheers to you and your beautiful partner. May you continue to have a wonderful life together. That's awesome. I wonder if the guy I was dating at high school that I thought I was going to marry would have quit smoking if I had stayed with him, because he didn't. I know that he didn't. Ibether says, you quit smoking because she's smoking hot, smoking enough for the both of you. Congrats. Dickie says, gave up smoking for a smoke show. Tomorrow Hot says he quit smoking, but she never will. New York Rhyme says she's beautiful. A crappy picture can't contain the beauty. Ophi says, thanks for the kind comments. Some are very touching. My wife and I were just friends for 7 years before we got together. Us both single at the time, I felt like maybe there was a chance, but I knew she wouldn't date a cigarette smoker. We went on a road trip together to see a mutual friend a few states over. I was already in the mental state of wanting to quit at that time, but after I went without a smoke on one of our refueling stops, she encouraged me to avoid having one at the next one, then the next, and so on. I couldn't have asked for a better motivator. I can't express how lucky a guy I am. Patches certainly helped, but I had my last smoke on that trip. Anyway, I'm looking forward to celebrating our 20th anniversary. Cheers. Good for you. My dad has quit smoking for over 30 years now. I'm very proud of him. Very, very proud of him. What is this? I can't get it from there. All right, well, I gotta go and feed some cats. I go feed some cats, purchase some things that I forgot yesterday, and just generally mess around, and then come home and cook. The dinner I thought I was gonna have last night, we didn't, because it had to be thawed out for 24 hours, or for overnight anyway. So it's in the fridge. It's been chilling in the fridge since last night. So hopefully it'll be good by the time I get home. I can make it. I also have to stop for a couple of toppings that I forgot. I forgot. I needed at least a tomato. Maybe maybe a cucumber. I'm not sure. I'm gonna look and see. All right. Love you, my biddies. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. I guess it's my last day this week, isn't it? It's Thursday. Oh my goodness. Okay, have a good weekend. I love you all. I will be back on Tuesday. Bye. Love you all. Bye.